Good morning, everyone.
Morning again.
Morning.
I think they may.
Yeah.
They're
I'll
muted.
go ahead and mute my mic, Miss Durrance. That
No
way.
problem. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, we're going to give it a couple more minutes. And if you know that, I'm going to make sure you're familiar with the chat window in here. So as we're going, you can put some of your questions in the chat if you'd like. I'll try to watch those too. If you want to speak, please unmute your. Feel free to ever unmute your microphone and ask questions. I'm getting ready to undo my let you see me actually. All right, so let's see. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, my name is Kim Durrance, and I am a third grade teacher at Meadowview. This year, I am going to be virtual as of right now, the OLA. They're calling it Online Learning Academy. So not quite sure how that's all going to look, but I'm kind of excited to try something different this year. This is my 28th year of teaching. So I've been doing this a while. My co-teacher that started with me, we've been doing it. We got tired the exact same year. She retired last year. So it's going to be kind of weird this year. We've been at Meadowview our whole career together. So it's going to be kind of, well, it probably won't be as difficult now that I'm going to be virtual. So it's not going to be exactly the same setup, but I am going to miss seeing her every day. Sheila Vilker. So congrats to her for retiring. But anyways, I was just talking to James. We're talking about, I'm hoping that most of you are kind of not as familiar with Google Apps as others, because this is going to be strictly about docs and things you can do with Google Docs. So I don't want it to be, for some of you, it may be stuff you already know, but hopefully I'll teach you something new today. I know I see Troy Squires. Congratulations on your job this year. Erica and Michaela, we're good friends.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
good job. So anyways, I'm going to be kind of on this screen. I've got my Chromebook and I've got my desktop because I was a little worried about Wi-Fi and everything working at home. So I came to school and I'm going to be sharing my screen from my desktop. So whenever I share my screen, we're going to try something. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pear Deck, but I've done this presentation with some Pear Deck slides thrown into it. So I'm also going to show you later on today, if you're not familiar with Pear Deck, it's an awesome add-on for your Google Slides. So I'm going to show you, let me go and present my screen just a second. And then please tell me if you guys can see my screen when it comes on. All right, are we good? All right.
Yes, we're good.
Great.
Yep.
Adam, can you see my screen? You said you can't. All right, we should be good. Okay, so here's how Pear Deck add-ons basically are special extra things that you can put into your Google Apps. So this one has add-ons. You go to here. So I've add-on to Pear Deck. It's an add-on Pear Deck. So when you click on it, I'm just going to show you how this works. You can try it or you can just watch my screen. You do not have to join in with the Pear Deck, but I'm going to show you how that works. If you want to join in, and then you can collaborate with me as we go through this. I mostly put this in the slideshow so you can kind of see how Pear Deck add-on works, because it's awesome for collaborating with your students in the classroom, or even if if we have to go NTI again. So basically, when you have the add-on, you can see that I'm going to Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on, and I'm going to open it, Pear Deck add-on. So what's going to happen when you do that, and that's how it's going to work if you are developing a slideshow and you get the add-on, it will pop up over to the right. Even the free version has several things you can use to add to different slides. So basically, it's going to add a slide of maybe, and you're going to see that as we go. If you want to try to do the collaborative one with me, this is how it works. So I'll say start the lesson. It's going to pop up. Oh, hang on. Let's see. I want to do this one, instructor paste. Go through the whole thing here. And what will happen is it will open up and it's going to give your students a code. So like I said, if you all want to join me in the code one, like in another tab or on another device, feel free. It may slow down the device you're on. So if you don't like, you can even do this on your phone. So if students, if you're middle school or high school, they can have their phone and go to joinpd.com. So that's what you would do. And then when you go to joinpd.com, you're going to type in this code. And it's kind of funny. They give this like little acronym, kind of fun saying to help them remember the code. I'm not sure, maybe if one of y'all could join, that would be helpful, just so you can we can see how it works. So basically your students would join with this code. They go to joinpd.com. They will type in this code and you can see that it says I'm waiting for students. So if we don't have anybody that wants to join this way, that's fine. I just wanted to kind of show you how the Pear Deck add-on works. So does anybody want to join? Possibly. If not, I'll just take it out. But I wanted you all to see how it works. I can just show you the slides as we go through if nobody wants to join. We'll give just a couple seconds. If nobody wants to, then we're going to go ahead. Oh, yay. Thank you. All right. So I'll go ahead and start since we have one. So this is how Pear Deck add-on works. And just so you know, real quick, I'll go ahead and give you later on this afternoon, you can go to, it's at 1:30 to 2:30 with Kelsey Birdwhistle if you want to learn more about Pear Deck. Awesome tool. So I'm just going to put that out there so you can maybe jot that down for 1:30. But anyways, go back to this. So if I'm on this is my presentation. I can say start class. So if you're a student, they cannot control the slides. So basically what I do on my screen with this add-on, it's going to be making them go to the next slide without them doing anything. So, of course, I already told you who I was. I love my little Bitmojis I had to add in there. They have this wear your mask one. I thought was really cool. So anyways, I'm going to move on. Like I said, today's mostly collaborating with Google Docs. So here's a slide from Pear Deck. What is your comfort level using Google Docs? If you are doing this with me, which was the one student, I think, right? It should give you some choices, okay? So for the rest of you, if you're not doing it with me on this, A is I've got this. Use Google Docs all the time for classroom and processing. B, I'm pretty sure I understand. I'm getting more comfortable. So if you want to put your letter maybe over here in the chat window, that'd be great. And I'm going to, at the end of this slideshow, I have my slides, but I'll go ahead and share that with you all right now. So I'm going to give you my link real quick to my slides. Hang on, give me a second. So if you want to open at home, let me go ahead and do that real quick. So I'm going to put that in the chat window. So all right, come on. So in the chat window, I'm going to put the slides. So if you want to go ahead and open that, you can follow along also. Like I said, though, if you're looking at these slides that I just shared with you, it's not going to be the one I'm presenting on Pear Deck. But so basically, A, B, C, or D. D is I use Microsoft Word all the time and cannot make myself get accustomed to using Google Docs. And I have to admit, when we first started using Google Apps here in Hardin County Schools, it took me a while. I still wanted to revert back to my Microsoft Word documents. And then eventually I was like, wait a minute, this is silly. Because if you're familiar with Google Docs, no matter where you are, you can bring them up and be working on the exact same document that you were working on wherever you were before. So that's what's really cool about that. Notice that I can show the responses using the Pear Deck add-on. But I was going to say with Google Docs, I know back whenever we had Microsoft Word, I would work on something at school and then I would have to save it to a thumb drive or I'd have to email it to myself. then work on it at home. And then I would work on it at home. I'd have to save it to my thumb drive or save it on my computer, email it back to me. So Google Docs are wonderful because you don't have to do that. No matter where I open up my Google Docs, it's going to be exactly how I left it. So if you're familiar with Google, any of the apps, they will continue to save for you without you having to do a thing. All right, so we're going to move on to the next slide. So these are ways you can get to Docs. I'm a waffle person, and you're probably saying, what is a waffle, some of you? So I'm the type that wants to go to a new tab every time, click on my waffle, and then find my apps. So that's how I do it. I don't know why it keeps changing to my personal account. But you can also type in the app, like docs.google.com, slides.google.com, sheets.google.com, any of those. That's how it can bring you there too. You can go from your drive. You can be clicking on your drive, and you can also see the waffle. So if I go to my drive, through my apps, and you're in drive, you can go to all of those from there using your waffle. You can go to one that you've already used before, recent. So that's how you can get to your docs. So docs.google.com/create will open up a brand new one. So that's something, I don't ever use that, but once again, I go to my Google Docs and I just open one, but that's our docs.new. So that's why you can open up new ones. You can try that if you want, but that's how you get to your Google Docs. All right, so when you're in Google Docs, you can change your page setup, and I just put a screenshot, but I will also kind of go back and forth and actually show you on a Google Doc. So if you're in a Google Doc, just like I said, it's under File, and then it's under, you come down to Page Setup, and that's how you can change your margins and everything that you typically do in Microsoft Word. Portrait, landscape, paper size is all there. So that's under your File. And then you can also download one of your Google Docs, as you can see, as Word, if you want to. Now, that won't pop up on your Chromebook, but if you're on a desktop, it will let you have that option to download it as Microsoft Word. PDF, a picture, different things like that you can do from there. So that's all under File, Page Setup, or Download As. So those are ways you can get, like I said, I can give you the option for Microsoft Word on a desktop, but it will not give that option on your Chromebook. Please chime in if you need have a question, or please chime in if I'm going too fast. I have a tendency to talk too fast, so just let me know if I am, okay? To change the name of your Google Doc, all you have to do is click up on your name. So if I'm in a Google Doc, as I said, so if I'm in this Google Doc and I want to change the name of it or give it a name, I just click up here. I just highlight it, delete it, change the name, and it will change the name for you. So that's all there is to changing it. And I'll get into where you can save it to in just a minute. Sometimes I get ahead of myself, so I'll try to stay on task. All right, so clicking the folder will allow you to, oh great, that's what I was just going to tell you, so I didn't want to get ahead of myself. If I'm in a Google Doc, that's where I can change the name. But I can also, and this is what I've gotten really good, or tried to get really good at. If you're familiar with your Drive, it's kind of like your Word documents where you, like I name them all kinds of things, and then I get them put in weird places and I can't find them. Well, with your Drive, mine was very unorganized. So I'm trying really hard as I'm doing something to go ahead and file it. So how you can do that is if you're working in a Google Doc or a Google Slide or Google app, whatever Google app, there's a little folder beside the title that you can click on, and you can go ahead and put it somewhere. So like I want to, since this is for the summit, I'm going to find where I've been keeping things about this year's summit. I think I have it right. So any of your folders that you have in Drive, and I'm sure there's one of our sessions today about your Drive maybe. If not, you can always send me questions. There's lots of fun things about your Drive that I have learned. Let's see, what did I name it? So see, that's another problem. This is how I am. I can't, there we go. So I'm going to go to my HCS summit, and then all I do is say move here. So it's already filed where I want it. I don't have to worry about going back and figuring out how to organize that. So I try to get in the habit of going ahead and putting whatever I'm working on into the folder I want it to be in. So I don't have to worry about going back and doing that. So that's how you can change it. So the folder is right here. You can click on it and check, did I already put it there? And it will show you where it's at. So that's handy too. All right, so that's how you can name it. And then that's how you can click on the folder to move it to where you want it within your Drive. Revision history. So, okay, when you're on a Google Doc, this is great, especially when you're students of a teacher of middle schools and high school. If they're working on, a paper, or they're working on, or if you're working on something collaboratively with the students, maybe working in groups, or maybe you're working all together, you have a good way. This is an easy way for you to go back and find out maybe who typed what. It's also an easy way for if you have shared something with your students and someone has messed up, maybe the document that you're on together, that happens in elementary school. So if you're working on something together and someone has deleted something or taken something away, you can easily go back and fix that with your revision history. Because if there's several of you in there, undo doesn't always work because we're all in there together. But so basically when you're in a Google Doc, and let's say you just go to File, go to Version History, which is here, and you see version history. Now, this one's not going to have a lot to look at because I just made these the other day, but you can see I took out a couple things. So you can go all the way back to where you started. If there's several people in a Google Doc, so let me show you one from yesterday. We did one yesterday in our classified training. So I'll give you an idea of kind of how you can see everybody's stuff. Let's see. We had, was this one? Oh, but that was in Spanish. Hang on a second. We had translated to Spanish, which is a really cool. And I think that might be new within Google Docs. I know that you have Google Translator. So let me find the one. All right, come on. Example 2, example 1. Let me just look it up. You can search as you see me doing. I don't know why it's not coming up. All right, let's see. That was the one in Spanish. I don't want the one in Spanish. Maybe that's it. All right, here we go. So here's an example of where several people were in here. So yesterday we all shared and we just played around with Google Docs. So if I open version history on this one, sorry. Do you see all the colors? So each person that's in this Google Doc with me has a color. So as I scroll through here, I'm going to be able, if I click on, this one, anybody that whatever color is showing up shows me who did it. So, high school, middle school, you may have someone being inappropriate. This is the way to catch them. And so even if they write it and delete it, you're going to be able to go back and find it and see who did it. So that's what's really cool about revision history. You can go back and see what was there before. If something gets messed up, I can go all the way back down to my original and I named it. You don't have to name it, but sometimes you can name your different versions. I can go back to this one and I can restore it. So that goes with any of most of your apps, you're able to go back to where you started, but you'll have to, double check. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure all of them give you that capability to go back and restore. So reversion history definitely on Google Docs is very handy, especially if you're collaborating or a group is collaborating on something, you can go back. So the colors are very helpful because you can see exactly who did what and then restore. So you can restore any of your versions. So you can just go through them and find them. You can name them. All you have to do to name them is to click on one, click on the snowman is what I call this, or the 3 dots, and it gives you the option to name it. It gives you an option to make a copy too. So, I guess that could be beneficial if maybe you were trying to have evidence of something that maybe didn't go so well with Google Docs. So I'm not going to worry about restoring right now, but as you can see, if I wanted to restore it to any of these, I could restore it right now to the original. Then I could go back and restore it to one of these that we ended with yesterday. So that's how you go to revision history. You can also, it used to have a line that all changes saved in Drive, but I don't see that option anymore. Oh, here we go, right there. So you can also go there. So out to the side where it says last edited was yesterday, I can also click on that. And it's going to bring me to version history too. So you have both those options. So it's file, version history, or go to the line that says you have everything saved. Like on this one, when I go back to my notes here, same thing. Wherever it says last edited at, that's where you can click and also get there. You can click on items to revert back, as I told you. Click on the 3 dots, which I call the snowman, to name the version. And then this is the question. So if we were in Pear Deck, and if you are in Pear Deck with me, here's your question. When could this tool be handy? So you're going to do what it shows you on there, make your responses. I can click on show responses. This person is working and they're deleting it if they're going back. So this is how you can see your students popping up with their questions. Now, of course, the answers don't have their name on it. So if you were to see one that was inappropriate, you can lock their screen. So I could lock screens right now and I could just make people stop. No, I wouldn't see anybody else's responses. Or I can just hide them real quick from everyone seeing them, figure out maybe what's going on, and then take care of it. But basically, this is where you sit. This is another slide from Pear Deck add-on that you can put into your slides and have students answer a question, which is really cool. So then, like I said, all you do is hit hide responses, show responses. So this is where you can pop them up and go through all the responses. And no student has to feel embarrassed or worried that you're going to read theirs, because nobody's going to know who anybody is. So it's kind of a cool one to do. There's also this grid layout, so it come up in like little bubbles instead of long. So if you just hopped on, I'm not paying attention to exactly who's on here, but if this is the Pear Deck add-on, if you want to hear more about Pear Deck, go at 1:30 to 2:30 with Kelsey Birdwhistle. But I just went ahead and did it today just to show y'all how it works. All right, so this cool tool would be very handy. As we saw here, if this person said a group is working together and something gets deleted, you can revert back to the last revision or original version. That's a perfect reason why. There's lots of, and just anybody, even us, we all know that we make mistakes. And if we don't, undo doesn't always work if we've gone too far, possibly. All right, so version history is the tool that we just talked about. Okay, Explore. This is one that some of you may not be familiar with. And I know college students, if you're taking classes like, graduate classes, this may be handy, but I know a lot of college classes have Blackboard. And I know my daughter was just working on, I don't think they can use, you probably could do the citations, copy them, and then put them over into Blackboard. I'm not sure. I'm done with college, so I'm not familiar for sure with how that works. But basically, the Explore button. So if I'm in a Google Doc, there's this little button that looks like a little star and almost like a little comment bubble. So it's called Explore. So if I click on Explore, it's going to open up almost like a Google window or a search window, and you can search for whatever you're looking for. So I'm just going to do something as simple as fish. That's what we did yesterday. Of course, I'm elementary. So you type in whatever you're searching for, and it's going to come up with option for the web, which is going to give you some websites or give you some resources for research, images, and drive. So it's going to give you options from your drive if there's something you want to add, the images, and web. And just know that when you open up images in a Google Doc, there's no copyright issue with them. So they're free. So you're not going to get in trouble with ever copywriting somebody's picture or image, because Google you only have the option to use ones that are free. So what's really cool though is if you're using a website, let's say we can't Wikipedia, no, but if I find one that I like National Geographic, I've opened it, I've used some information from this site or this article for my paper or whatever it is I'm writing, I can, when I've typed in my doc, whatever information I've used, I can cite that. So over here, this little quotation mark over here, quotation marks in the corner, it won't pop up unless, okay, they pop up as you move through them. But since I'm on this one, it's staying there. So I can just take it and I click. Now, I know there's different formats. So right here at the very top where it says web results, this is where you can change it to MLA, APA, or Chicago. I think APA, from what I hear, is mostly the one that people use, but you can click it. When I go to cite this, so this is the one I was on, all I do is click and it's going to put a footnote. Now, did you notice it put the little number right here and then it put the footnote? Now, there's a lot of footnotes on here because we practiced with this yesterday with classified staff. So that's why you see so many. But it automatically puts the footnote. So what I was saying is if you're working in Blackboard, there's a possibility that you could get this format and transfer it. I don't know. So it's just something, if you're able to use Google Docs, it will cite for you straight from Explore. So same thing, like I said, images, you can see we practice with putting images. And when they put the image from here, it's going to also, so I just say insert. Okay. I don't know why it's making me reload. Whenever they get the site from a source, I don't think that one went in. All right, give me a second. Looks like things are going to start being funny. So all I did, I hit the button just if you did not catch that. So I'm going to go back out. Here's Explore. It's this button down here. I click it. It's going to open up like a search bar. I had fish. images. I can do the little plus sign. Well, you can either click it and then say insert, or you can hit the plus sign that puts it in. So it puts it in. Of course, you can resize images. But notice that it also gives the website. So if you put in images this way, it's also going to give your source of where you found it. And you can see where it says free. So all your images in Google Docs or Google Apps are going to be free images that you're not going to ever get in trouble with for using, which, you know, copyright has always been a talk over all my years. And thankfully, I've never, ever gotten in trouble for that. So now I'm trying to make sure I use them from Google. So anyways, that's how you use the Explore button, which is very handy. Students can go straight from there. You can also do images from insert image, but in this way you can do it from if you have an image from your computer that you've already created, or it's a picture of you or a picture of students, upload from your computer. This is where you can search the web again. So you can search here and you'll get free ones. You can get them from your drive, your photos, a URL. You can even take a picture if you have a camera. All right, so back to our presentation. So once again, the 3 dots, which I call the snowman, allows you to choose the citation format, which I just showed you. You have web, images, and drive. So it's a little button that pops up at the bottom. It's going to usually be over here to the right. So that's Explore. Anytime in a Google Doc, it's always usually going to be right there in the bottom right. So I'll go back to here too. This is another one. Well, this one's a little, I guess this one. Oh, that's an old one. Okay. Making me sign in. All right, so we're going to move on. Drag your picture into your document. You can do that another way. Click Insert, add which type of item you would like to add to your doc, which I just showed you that. You can resize it, crop it, edit it, right-click, or double-click. So when I'm in here, if I wanted to like crop it, you double-click. So it's going to put that black frame around it, and that's when you can crop an image. So if I wanted to come in and just go to his head, you have to do that and then hit enter, and it will crop it. If you do, and then you can do undo, of course, undo. But if I just want to resize it, then I drag from a corner and make it smaller or make it bigger. So that's how you can resize it. Like I said, the cropping is a double click, gives you that black frame, and you can go crop it however you want. But then you have to hit enter, and it will save whatever your edits were. Anybody have any questions so far? Are we going at a good pace? Are y'all good? I sure hope so. Please stop me if I'm going too fast or anything, if you have a question. All right, so you can drag your picture too. So if you have your drive open, maybe you have split screen and you want to just drag it over, it will also let you insert a picture. We already talked about to resize it, crop it, right click or double click. So I can be on an image too. Let me go back and undo that. I can right click. It's going to give me options to crop image too. I can replace the image options. Over here, it gives me other things I could do with the image. So right clicking on the image, or if you're on a Chromebook, I guess everyone knows what to do on a Chromebook. It's 2-finger tap. So if you're on a Chromebook, it's 2-finger tap for a right click. So yesterday we had many people that were not familiar with that. So if you're on a Chromebook and you want to right click, it's 2-finger tap. And it will open up your menu like this. So this gives you other options when you can cut it, copy it, which of course cut, Control X, if you didn't know that shortcut, copy, Control C, and paste, Control V. So those are all handy sometimes whenever you're wanting, especially I have some people that have trouble with the trackpad on a Chromebook. So Control C is a quick way, but you still have to highlight it. So that might not be the best if you're having, someone yesterday had an issue with using their trackpad on their Chromebook. Sometimes I think it has to do with our fingers. I don't know, like maybe a little bit of sweat or moist. I don't know. All right, going back to here. So note, equations and special characters can be added through the insert option as well. So if I'm in my Google Doc, I can insert special characters. It gives you lots of different options that you can insert. So there's symbol, emoji I like to do. So you got all your fun emojis like you see kind of on your iPhone. You can insert emojis from here. You can insert, lots of different things that it gives you the choice. And that's all under special insert, and you go to special characters. There's equations that you can insert, a chart, horizontal line, table, different options that you can use to insert. And a lot of these, there's your table that you might be used to using in Word, which I kind of laugh because I've never used to be an Excel fan. And I'm still not, I'm kind of getting better with sheets. But I was more apt to put a table in a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word document and use that instead of getting into Excel or sheets. But I'm getting better. So you can insert a table that way. All right, so we're going to move back. Moving on. All right, here's another one that you can collaborate with me if you're in my slideshow. What is the biggest difference between Microsoft Word and Google Docs when it comes to collaboration? And I'm not sure. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I can, yeah, 1 of 1. So thank you for whoever's participating. I appreciate it. So you can see as this person is typing, you can click on responses and you can watch your students respond to your question. So as this person is saying, more than one person can view and make edits to the document. That is what I think sold me on Google Docs. At first, like I said, it took a while for me to transfer over from Microsoft Word to Google Docs. I found myself still, and if you want to answer in the chat window, that's great too. But I found myself still wanting to go back to my Microsoft Word documents and still use those. And then when this came about, when I realized how beneficial it is to use Google Docs, I immediately quit using Word. Now, of course, I'll still find old ones and use them. I tend to find myself using Word when I'm doing labels. I haven't got myself familiar with labels as much in a Google Doc. So anyways, I kind of find myself using that. But whenever you're doing, if you're doing Pear Deck add-on, you can hide responses or show responses. And as I also said, you can lock the screen. So if you feel like you've given them enough time, like you say, okay, you have a minute to answer my question, you might set a timer. If you're not done in a minute, then I can lock the screen and we won't see anybody else. I can also add with this Pear Deck add-on, I can add a new prompt. So in the middle of this live show, I can quickly add another question right within my presentation if I want to. So even though I may have come up with this beforehand, I might have another question that pops in my mind, which we teachers do that frequently. So I'm going to go out of that, have responses. Awesome. So the biggest difference with Microsoft Word and Google Docs is we can all work on the same document together. So when you're in Google Docs, this is where I used to really make a lot of mistakes. I would try to share something with someone and then I can't open it. It says I have to ask for permission. So this is where you have to be very careful when you are getting ready to share something, whatever you're wanting to do with it. You need to make sure you make the share settings appropriate for whatever you're doing. And they've changed how the share settings look now. So I'm going to show you how that works. So when I'm going to go to my notes. If I want to share this, I would click here. Now let's say, actually, I'm going to go ahead and start a new one real quick. So new doc, if you're from here, I can go to this, or I could go to my waffle, like I said, or I can say docs.new, but I'm just going to go this way. So I'm going to hit the plus button because we're going to use this one in a minute. I may have already put one in there. Give me just a second. I think I've already put one. Hang on a second. I'm going to go down here because I think I already put one in here that we're going to use later. Let's see. All right, I did. So let me just see real quick. I'm going to go ahead and open this one because this is the one we're going to be using, I think. No, that's not the one I wanted. Just a second. All right, I'm just going to start this one and we may have to share it later. So let's say I'm working on this document. As I said, that's how you name it. So I'm just going to put, July 23rd example. All right, and I want to share it. So when I click share, you can already see that it says private to only me. Okay, so that means if I tried to share that link right now and it went to my co-teacher or it went to whoever I'm trying to share it with, they're not going to be able to open it because it's private to me. So you go down here to where it says get link. So if I went ahead and copied that link and sent it to someone, it's not going to work. If I went ahead and if I add people here, yes, they'll be okay because I'm adding them to the doc. But if I want to get the link, it's not. So if I want to add a person, let's say I'm going to share this with, my principal. I'm just going to put Brandy in here. I can give Brandy different rights to my Google Doc. So I can either give her the editing rights, which means she'll be able to type and change things. I can give her the commenter rights, which means she'll be able to highlight stuff and make comments. She can't really make comments within my Google Doc, but she can make comments about it. Or I can give her viewer rights, which means all she's going to get to do is see it. So We'll talk about that in a minute when you're sharing something that maybe you and your like teammates, your PLC is going to be sharing a doc for their students, and you want them to make it their own, and you don't want them to edit yours. We're going to talk about in a minute because that's very important. If you're all using something that's similar, but you're also going to make it your own, there's a way to make them have a way to make a copy, and I'll show you that in a second. But be careful when you're sharing. If I'm going to add their name, that's fine. This is where I can change it. You can send them a message. So when you say send, it's going to email them this document with the message in there to them, and they'll be able to open it and do with whatever they need to. Another way to share with someone, I'm going to say cancel, is to change your link. So if I wanted to share my link, I have to click down here. It's going to say anyone at Hardin County with this link can view, or I can say anyone with this link can edit, anyone with this link can comment, whichever one I choose. I can also change it again to anyone with the link. Now, I know during NTI, this is what we had to do. So, because we know parents are accessing things that we're sending out without a Hardin County email. So when we send something to parents through NTI, or if you're going to be virtual online, if we're sharing something with parents, we're going to have to make sure this link. So when we were doing our grids on our portal, they had to have anyone with the link, because we knew that we're going to have parents out there and students possibly accessing with their personal email, and we have to make it available to them. So anyone with the link is what I'm going to be using in a minute too, because I'm not sure who out there what's in this today. You should be Hardin County. You should be using your email, because I don't think you would have been able to. I didn't have to give anybody permission to join Google Meet. So I think we're all in our Hardin County email. So I probably will leave that Hardin County. I'm going to go ahead and change it to edit, because when I share it in a minute, we're going to use this one. Okay, so I'm going to say done. All right, so that's how you're shared. This is where I always made mistakes. So this is where you may, if you're new with Google Docs and you're sharing something, that's where you need to make sure you're changing your link before you share it. Because I would have people, and plus, if you say anyone in Hardin County Schools and you're sharing it with a friend of yours, and if they tell you they're having trouble to open it, then you might want to tell them, hey, you're probably trying to open it with your personal account. And that's usually the problem. So if you've changed it to Hardin County Schools and you send it to your teammate and they have trouble opening it accidentally, they're probably trying to open it with their personal account. That's usually the problem. Plus, if you've ever had trouble opening something, you might want to check, oh, am I in my Hardin County? Because if you notice, for some reason today, every time I open a new tab, it's coming up with my personal account. And I don't know why. So I'm going to probably have to remove that from this account. But anyways, so sometimes that happens. So if I try to open it accidentally with my personal account, it's not going to work. All right, so share with others. You can either put their name. You can tell how it's changed. They've already changed how it looks on a Google Doc. But it's the blue share button, and that's like that in all Google Docs except for Forms. Looks a little different when you're doing something in Forms. But typically, all your Google Docs have the share button in the top right corner. So like here's a, let's see. I wanted to see. For example, let me just open this one up. Here's Sheets, and of course, it's got the blue share button too. So no matter, well, it's green, excuse me. So I think in Slides, it's yellow. All right. Yep. Whatever color the apps are, that's what color the share button is. All right. So that's how you share. And like I said, if it's not opening for someone, you've probably just made a mistake in your share settings. All right. I'm going to slide on over to this one. On this one, this is the comment button. So if you are a teacher of middle school or high school or even elementary, and your students are writing something, okay, and they share it with you, or you have put it in classroom and they all have their own copy, and you are trying to conference with their writing. And I know this is all kind of jibber jabber stuff that we put in yesterday, but if I find something I want to comment on, I highlight it, and then you have this little comment button over here. So I click it. Let me get rid of this real quick. I'm going to say check. Check. Okay. You click this button and I can make a comment to the student about their writing. Okay. So watch, maybe it's watch your punctuation. And I can say comment. And that student should be able to see that. Now, if I want to make sure that student sees it, because maybe it's the middle of night, it's like midnight and I'm working on conferencing on students writing and I know they're not awake. Well, they could be watching Fortnite or playing Fortnite or something. But if I want to make sure they get my comment, I can put plus and then I can type their email address. So of course, if it's a student, it should pop up because it's their document. So their email should automatically come up when you hit the plus button. But let's say I wanted to make sure Brandy knows something in a document I'm working on, or whoever, your principal, whoever it is that you're collaborating with on that document, you would put their email. So plus and their email. And then it's going to give me the option it says your plus mention will add people to this discussion and send an email. So then I can reply. It's going to send an email to whoever you've made the comment for, and they're going to make sure they're going to be sure to get that comment. So especially for virtual learning, as we said, they're not going to always have that open. So to send a comment with a plus is going to make sure they're going to get an email so they know to go in and check whatever you have commented on. So as I said, that's highlight. Same thing with an image. Maybe an image you think is not correct. I can just click the image and I can add a comment to an image. So you can add a comment to pretty much anything, and this is it. So as soon as you highlight something or click on something, that comment bubble is going to pop up. So notice as soon as I clicked it, the comment button is over here to the right. So I can add a comment. You can also add comments from up here. It'll open the comment history here, and you can see all the places that you've commented to that student or to whoever it is you're working with. You can also do it here. So I can click on it. I can add a comment there, but I like that it's just right there. So there's two different places. All right, so adding a comment, it's great whenever you're wanting to conference in writing, especially, well, anytime. It doesn't matter if we're in person or virtual. All right, notifying people of the comment. I just told you that. So you put the plus in front of their email. It will send them an email. It took yesterday, we did that for practice, and it took just a few minutes. But if you're doing it at midnight and the student's asleep anyways, or whoever, they're not going to get it till the next day. But it depends. I think it depends on how quickly internet is. All right, so that's how we said you can add. All right, moving on. How well do you understand sharing and commenting? So I think we have one person in here. They're going to pick their choices. So here's the choices if you want to go ahead and put, let's see. I've got this, move on. I'm pretty sure I understand. I'm a little confused, but I think I'll get it. I'm totally lost, help. So if you're not participating in my Pear Deck, if you want to just put your letter over in the chat window, that'd be great. So this is on sharing and commenting. How do you feel about that? So that's the question. And then it should have given you, the person that's doing this with me, you should have had those things with what explains what each one is. So I think most of us are ready. We're just going to move on because we're running out of time. All right. So that's a Pear Deck add-on again. And notice that my code for Pear Deck add-on stays up here on the right. So if a student was to come in late, or if you're presenting, whatever it is, then you can have that person join, later on as you're doing your presentation. All right, moving on. How to force people to make a copy. This is so handy. Let's say, like I said, you're sharing a Google Doc with your co-teacher or with your teammate that they're going to be using the same document, but they might not, like let's say it's a welcome back letter. Okay, yours is personal to you. You're going to share it. Your teammate wants it. They want a copy of it so they can use it. You don't want them to edit the one you're sending them. So you are going to force them to make a copy. So when you're on, let's say I'm on this one, up here in your window, in your browser, everybody see the word edit? That means this document is in edit mode. All I have to do is double click, backspace edit, put the word copy, and then I'm going to highlight this whole link, Control C. And when I share that, I'm going to show you how it works. So if I shared that link in an email, that's what I would want to do. Okay, so I take that link, Control C, put it in an email, share it with my co-teacher or my teammate. Watch what happens whenever I push. I'm going to put Control V, I'm going to paste it, and this is what would come up on their screen. So you've probably had this happen when someone shared something with you. That's what they've done. So they've forced you to make a copy. So what that means is when you get it, it's your own. You can do it however you want. You can change it to you. You can change it to how you want it, but you're not messing with whoever shared it with you. You're not messing with their document. So this forces them to make a copy. Okay, so all I did is I went to my browser. This word was edit. I backspaced, typed the word copy, and then I'm going to share that link. Okay, so that is all I did is I highlight the link, Control C, and then I would go to an email. I would open up an email. I would paste that into my email, and when I send that to whoever I'm sending it to, it's going to force them to make a copy. So very handy when you have something that you don't want someone else to edit. You want them to have a copy of it. You're sharing, but they have to edit to make their own. All right. So like I just said, you highlight the URL, you change the, and that happens. That works with most all your Google apps, except for, I think it even works with Forms. So within most of them, you can go to the top. Now, some of them, like you look at my slides up here, some of them you have to go all the way. So look at this one, the word's all the way back to here. So that's how far I would go back. I would delete that and I would type copy, and then I would share that link. Okay. If you're just joining us, I put a link to our slides in the chat window. So you're going to get it at the end anyways, but if you want to follow along that way, it's there for you. All right. So that's how you can force someone to make a copy, which is very handy. And I learned something new with slides too, but I'll share that if we get time at the end because we're kind of running behind. So here's another Pear Deck add-on. In 1 minute, write something new you learned today concerning Google Docs. I'm going to go ahead and move on, but if that one person, basically same thing. You would watch, everyone would write their responses. You can see everyone's responses. They're anonymous. You can't see who anybody is. If, like I said, if something happened inappropriate, I would quickly lock screens and then nobody can keep typing. So that's kind of nice because we all know that some students like to be little stinkers and maybe put something they shouldn't. So we can quickly lock their screen and move on. So that's another one. There's all kinds of these that you can add to your Google Docs or your slideshows, and they're just so nice. They're a great way to be able to collaborate with your students. All right, this is another trick that I've learned with shortcuts. When I am in a Google Doc, let's say I want to increase my font. Well, let's go back to this one. I think I went back to hang on a second. I changed nope, this is the one we did today. All right, so I'm going to go back to where's my notes? I think I got rid of it when I went here. So let me go back. I want to open up. And once again, I don't know why that's doing that today, but it is. All right, I'm going to go back to this one. All right, let's say I wanted to change all this to be bigger. I can highlight it all. Control, Shift, period. Will make your font bigger by 1. Control, Shift, comma will make your font smaller by 1. So it's very handy because that way I'm not having to go back up to my little font window and my little here. You can do it here, yes, but sometimes it's easier for me because I don't want to go to some of these numbers jump pretty quickly. So I might want to just go, one at a time to make it bigger. So basically you highlight what you're doing, Control Shift period makes it bigger, Control Shift comma makes it smaller. All right, so that was my trick there. Control K is another one that I used a lot on NTI. It will hyperlink something. So you highlight it, Control K, it automatically gives you the window to hyperlink. So like I was in here, let's go back to where I was. If I want to hyperlink this to something, Control K opens up the hyperlink window and I can quickly paste my URL there. So if you want Control K. So those are just some handy little shortcuts on ways to get to something quicker. So that's how you can make it larger, make it smaller. We're going to practice now. So I think we have a little bit of time. So I'm going to put the link over in our chat window. So on the one I just opened up, I've made it already. So I'm going to double check. So I go here to make sure that I've done it correctly. I think we're all Hardin County Schools because I don't think you'd be able to join, but I didn't have to let somebody in. So I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to go back to our Google Meet. I'm going to put the link there and just humor me and open it. And we're going to be able to collaborate. So just click on that link that I added to our chat window. And then you're going to start seeing people pop into our Google Doc. Thank you, James. I think you're my one student that was in Pear Deck too. Thank you. All right. So as you see, you can start seeing people pop up here in the top right. That's how you can tell that people are in your Google Doc. There used to be a chat window that you could open. We were just talking about this, Brandy and I were talking yesterday, is you used to have a chat window. So if we were working on lesson plans and we were trying to work from home and we wanted to chat about it, you could open the chat window and talk about it, but they've done away with that. So I'm not sure why. So as you can see, your cursor is the color of whatever your little circle is around your name. So like my PLC, when we would have PLC meetings, we would all share the minutes and we could all type on the minutes at the same time. So that's what's so handy about Google Docs is we're all can collaborate together. If we're taking minutes, if we're working on lesson plans, if we're working on whatever, it doesn't even have to be school related. You can all be in there at the same time. So you'll see who pops up here at the top. I can click on someone. It will give me the option to like send them a message, but I don't have the chat window anymore. So basically you can click on anybody up here and send them a message. But we all can type in here together. So if your cursor, it would be the color as you. Same thing. If I go to version history, then you would be able to. So let's see here real quick. Let's do, let me go back here for a second. All right, and that was where your link was. That was a different link. So if you opened up the link that was on that slide, I apologize because it's a little weird. I mean, I opened a new one. So let's just go ahead and type something. I'm going to change the font real quick and make it bigger. So notice Control Shift, and I'm just doing period. If you want to start, so I can do that, and it should control all of you all from changing your font. So just say, just introduce yourself. Hello, my name is, and I teach at. And you might have to scroll. You may have to put your, okay, notice what's happening. So you may have to go back and delete yours and go down a few lines. That is one problem with collaborating with students is you're almost going to possibly have to make a table, maybe number each section of the table, give them a number, and that's where you tell them to type. So on a Google Doc, it's a little bit tricky because you can see where we're all writing all over each other's stuff. Same thing with anything. If I'm collaborating in a Google slide deck, if I'm collaborating, especially you need to like, you're on slide 5 or you're on slide 8 or you're on slide 6. You need to specify for them where to be so that they can type in their spot because you know they're all going to get mad at each other when someone else is writing on theirs and they're messing up their words. So whenever you're collaborating on it, since I didn't really plan this Google Doc for us, you would want to put some type of way that they can know where to type. So a table or whatever. And I think I forgot. Did you all get the link to sign in? Because I think I forgot to share that. So give me a second. If you need the link to sign in to show that.
Yeah, I do.
Are we all good? Are we good on that?
I don't. Yeah, I need the link.
Okay, let me send that right now. That one. Hang on a second. Well, hang on. Slide over here. So my link for you all for Brandy, sorry, went too far, is going to be this one. Sorry about that. I should have shared that at the beginning. All right, so I'm going to put that in the chat window too. This is how you'll get credit for this hour. So fill that one out, please. And that is your way to get credit. So if you have not filled out that link, do that now. That will give you credit for this hour. So just click on that. It's going to open up and you'll fill that out and you'll have credit for this hour. The next slide real quick is just me, of course, saying thank you. This is feedback. If you could do the feedback form for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. It's right there at the bottom. So all you do is highlight this bit.ly, which I'm in mode. Hang on, let me get out of presenting mode. I'm just going to get out. And all you do is say end when you're in one of these, end session. You can name it, but that's usually a premium. So when you're in, if you're in my slideshow, you will just go to that bit.ly at the last slide and you will copy and paste it. So I just take it. You're going to highlight, just highlight that. Control C, go to a new window, Control V. And you can do this later if you want, but I would like to have feedback if you don't care. And it's going to open up. And if you're familiar with Bitmoji, oh my gosh, I'm telling you, if you want to learn how to create things with your Bitmoji, you need to join Bitmoji Craze for Educators on Facebook. It's just so much fun. So at 1:30, and I also said at 1:30 to 2:30 is Kelsey Birdwhistle is doing something with your, no, I'm sorry, that's Pear Deck, 1:30 to 2:30. At 2:30 to 3:30, you can go to Bitmoji with Amanda Urbans in room 6. So lots of fun. If you are interested in my templates of this and you can just throw in your Bitmoji, I will share it with you. Just let me know and I can share that link with you. But if you could do that one for me too, I'd appreciate it. Back to here. Let's see where we at here. All right. So this one is my slides, which I shared that link earlier. But if you want to put in this bit.ly, it's going to open up my slides and you're going to have a copy of my slides. It should make you, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's view. So you should view only. So no big deal because you're not going to use this probably for anything. But it's a way to do it. Now, one thing I think we have, what time is it? 9:23. Let me make sure I've done everything. So I've given you the form to get your credit. Anybody have any questions? Because we're getting close to being at the end. Anyone? Questions? Are we good? Pear Deck add-on, as I said, comes here. So if you're in a slide deck, you just go to your add-ons, and this is where you can find the Pear Deck add-on. One thing I learned yesterday, and I could be totally late to the game. I did not know this, but we talked about change and edit to copy. I can also change edit. So I know a lot of us are creating slide decks with lots of links. Some people are doing a slide like a Bitmoji classroom where all their slides have their Bitmoji and different links. I can change that to preview. And if I take and copy this link, Control C, open a new window, and Control V, it's going to automatically put your student into a mode like this. They can't go back to edit mode. So if you have a slide deck that you're wanting to share with your students that you don't want them to be in edit mode, sometimes we do, because there's certain interactive slides. A lot of times we want them in the edit mode. But if you just want them to be able to click on links throughout your slide deck, this is a perfect way. You can also change preview to present, either one. I kind of like the preview look because everything stays down here at the bottom and it doesn't mess up with what your slides have on it. If you do present mode, it kind of looks like this. So present would look like this. It's going to give them that present mode. So if I do present, share that, it's just going to look like this. So it's going to have that pop up. It's going to have it go away. It's going to have it pop up. So no, not much of a difference, except for that might get in their way when they're trying to click on something at the bottom of your slide. All right. I think I've remembered everything I wanted to tell you. If there's any questions, feel free to email me. My email was at the top one, my first slide. So if you need to email me, ask me any questions, feel free to do that. Anybody have questions now? As I said, if you want to learn more about Pear Deck, that's at 1:30 to 2:30. That's a great one that you might want to attend if you haven't done much with Pear Deck. There's a great free add-on. A lot of people can use what they want with the free version. They don't have to do the premium. If you are a Google trainer, some of you may have already got your Google trainer, then you can get it free. There's a way to get premium Pear Deck for free. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I think we've got everything I want. If you can do my survey, that would be great. If you want a copy of this, when I opened it, if you would like a copy of my my Bitmoji, I have like 3 that I've done, and I'll be happy to share it with you. And you can have those scenes, and you just take out my Bitmoji and put yours in there if you're into that. Anybody have any questions? Are we good?
Where do we get the survey again, Kim?
It's
To
on
do your survey?
yes, that last slide. So whenever you were in my slides, the very last slide says feedback. You just copy and paste that bit.ly in there to a new slide, to a new window. So or you can type it in. You don't have to copy and paste. If you wanted to type in, that's what bit.lys are nice. You can kind of see them and type them in quickly. But if you could do that feedback for me anytime in the next week or so, it's fine. It's nice to have feedback. So I hope I didn't go too fast. It was great having everybody, and you can get prepared for your 9:30 one. And I don't know if you don't know where you're going. Hopefully you've had a chance to look, but all those are here. So here's the 9:30 ones coming up. I have a 9:30 one. I'm doing Jamboard, kind of a new one that I've not had a lot of experience with, but I'll share what I know. So that's next for me. All right. So if you're headed to a different room, feel free to leave the Google Meet and move on to your next one. Thank you all for coming. And if you're joining for Jamboard, then you can just hang out for a minute. Real quick, if you are in here for the Jam one, the Jamboard one, I'm going to go ahead and put my slide link over here in the chat window. I shared it on my last screen, but I'm going to go ahead and put it now over there. And you'll be able to open it up and follow along. Oh, you have to call. Hang on, let me get the link. If you got that one, you can copy and paste it, but let me just get the link. It might make it easier. So share, copy link. Hey, Courtney, how are you? That's good to know. It's so weird talking to the screen with all these people and nobody's talking, but that's okay. I'll take off my mic in just a minute. Hello, everyone. We'll give it just a minute or two. We have 55 people in here. That's awesome. I hope I can teach you something new because it's kind of new to me. So this one, I have to go ahead and put a disclaimer, is one that I discovered kind of at the end of NTI. I've tried to make myself more familiar with it. We tried it with a Google Meet. I think from home, I was trying to share my screen and it got really wonky. So y'all are gonna kind of be my guinea pigs throughout this just to see how it's gonna work. So just so you know, so if something doesn't work, we're going to learn that together, because Jamboard, I haven't really done it with students, except for, like I said, I learned it at the end of NTI. We tried to share one through a Google Meet and let the students have the link. And I think because they were all on different devices and different accounts, it got to be very crazy. So we got out and we went to plan B. So this is one that, as long as I think they're all on their Hardin County email and they're all kind of learning what to do with it and they know the rules, which you might have to have that up front, you should be good. So like I said, it's gonna be sorry, excuse me. You're kind of going to be guinea pigs towards the end of this. It's an awesome app that I just, like I said, learned about at the end of NTI, and I've kind of done some things with it over the summer when of course, I try to take a break and not think about anything school. I'm sure y'all all know that because of NTI was a little crazy. But before we move on, I'll introduce myself. So I'm Kim Durrance. I teach at Metaview here, and I'm at Metaview because I wanted to make sure nothing went wrong with Wi-Fi and trying to share. So I'm sharing from my desktop. Just if you don't know, you can do 2 different devices on Google Meet. So I'm on my desktop sharing with you, but I'm talking to you on a Chromebook. So that's always handy. So if you've had a lot of issues with things not working very well, that's a way to maybe make sure that your slides are going to be shared. If you have my desktop at home is outdated and moves too slow because I'm so used to using a Chromebook now. So you could have a stable, of course, if we go to NTI, we're going to probably be at school from what I've heard. I'm actually going to be one of the OLA teachers. So that's OLA is what we're calling it. Another acronym that we have to know what it is. But I'm going to be virtual no matter what happens. Even if things change, I'm considered an OLA teacher this year. So that'll be something different. So I'm Kim Durrance. This is my 28th year of teaching. I was just telling the last group, I've been Sheila Velker. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but we started our career together here at Metaview. We were here for 27 years. She's up in her age because she already had a couple of careers under her belt. So she retired after 27, and I'm still here. But it's kind of sad that she won't be here this coming year. But hopefully, since I'm doing something a little different, it won't be as noticeable because we've been together for 27 years. So it's going to be kind of hard. All right. So we're basically going to go ahead and get started. My email is on the slide deck if you open that up. So you have my email if you need to ask me any questions. But like I said, disclaimer is this is all kind of new for me too. I haven't tried it with students. I'll give you a couple. If you've already clicked on them, this is kind of some things you can do. So I've come up with one that would be a tutorial for students as I walk them through. So let's say we're virtual and I want to have a one-on-one with a student through a Google Meet. I could share this with them and we could actually practice 2-digit addition. So, or 2-digit subtraction. So sorry about that, with regrouping. So I kind of made one that's kind of, and you're probably going to say, what is the difference in using this and slides? Okay, so slides, you can't use as a whiteboard unless you add an extension. And I'll talk about that later. When you're in Jamboard, so first of all, before we move on, how do you find your Jamboard? You go to your apps. So I like to go to my waffle. Okay. Some people like to type in jamboard.google.com. It's whichever one you want to do. So you just go to your waffle. And once again, it keeps changing to my personal account today. I don't know why. Okay. Your waffle is this in the top right corner. So anytime you hear someone say waffle, that's what they're talking about. It looks like a waffle. So you click it and you slide down, go through your apps, and you will find Jamboard. Okay. That's on a desktop. But fortunately, Mike, who's in charge of all our, he's our main guy, help desk guy, Mike, he has made it available for us on our Chromebooks. So you can go to the App Store. So let me go back to my slides for a minute. So as you can see, I'm just showing you the examples so you can kind of see what we can create at the end. This one, I'm just going to go through it quickly just to show you that I come up with some slides. Some are interactive, some are just for me to talk about. And then the other one is one that maybe I would share to students in classroom and they can show me their work. Okay, and we're going to try this in a little bit, but not right now. I'll share it and we're going to try it. But like I said, you're like a guinea pig and we're going to see if it works. All right, so those are just my 2 examples that just show you kind of an end product that you might can do after we get some time to practice. Or if you go to one of the learning labs today, you might work on a Jamboard while you're in there. So that's what you're ready. You get to go to 2 learning labs today. So that might be something you want to work on. All right, so if we're back on my slide deck. So I've given you those examples. So you're welcome to make a copy of those and use them later. But right now, just, listen if you don't care. So I have a new thing I learned. If you don't care to type in bit.ly/fillmeter in a new window for me or on your phone or on a different device, just humor me, please. It's something I learned over my 2 days with Kentucky Go Digital, which I thought was really cool. It's called a Mentimeter. It's another one of those things you can get that's for free. There's so much out there. It's almost like you have to make your brain just do a couple of them. And you're going to notice that today. You're going to be overwhelmed. So by the end of the day, pick a couple tools that you want to get better at and just try to leave the other ones out of your head or you will be overwhelmed. So basically, if you take this and copy and paste it or type it, it doesn't matter. It's going to give you this option. Okay, so I gave you a question. In regards to technology, what words come to mind to describe you? So once you get there, you're just going to enter 3 words, and then you're going to hit submit. And I'll show you what that looks like as the students are doing it. So anybody have questions on that? You just have to type that in. It's just easier. Bitly is another one that's free. You just go there. You can create smaller URLs for your students. Sometimes, like this worked. I put the fill meter and it worked. Sometimes if you change the words, it won't work because someone else has it. So this one worked. It makes it easier for the students to type into their browser if you're not sharing in classroom. Of course, you could share it in classroom. You could share it in an email, a link, but this is just quicker. All right, so I'm going to show you how that's looking if anybody's doing it. So I'm going to go back to here. Here's my link to my Mentimeter. And as students are putting in these words, you're going to see it becomes a word cloud. So we can talk about all these different words that kids are saying. So you can see some are really, and they're excited about it, inadequate. Those are all perfectly good words to describe. Can I tell who's writing those words? No. So once again, though, we all know that if something's happening inappropriate, we can just get out and be done. And we all know that could happen. But you can see that we have lots of different feelings about technology. All right. So as a teacher, though, basically, this is what Mentimeter looks like. I'll just show you what it looks like for a minute. And it's free. And it's got lots of different choices. There's not just this one. There's multiple choice. So it gives you lots. So over here, I can show you the different types of questions that you can do. So it's called Mentimeter or Menti.com. And I think Menti.com is for the students. But as you can see, it gives me a word cloud. it almost looks like slides in a way. So I can just add different slides and it can become a presentation. But basically they're all interactive. So in a way, it's similar to Pear Deck in a way that you could, but I don't think you can throw these in. It says import. I haven't tried any of this as far as adding it into my Google Slides. Pear Deck works wonderful with adding into your Google Slides. So anyways, word cloud, I made a word cloud. So I can say present. Your students can see all the different words that they're coming up with to whatever your question may be. So my question, as you can see, we have some that feel really confident, some that don't, some that are whatever. So you can see all the different words. So that was just kind of fun. I learned that, like I said, over my 2 days of Kentucky to Go Digital, which was awesome. But once again, my head was spinning after day 2. All right. So that is something you can do and you can change. It's free account. I just signed in with my Google and it's called Mentimeter. And that link is there. That's going to take me, it'll take you to, if you want to use that link in my notes at the bottom, it will take you to Mentimeter and you can make your own account. All right, so moving on to the next slide. I'll go ahead and present. All right, so Jamboard, I just showed you where to find it from the beginning. It's under your apps, or you can type in jamboard.google.com. Okay, that will also get you there. The one that I was telling you about on Chromebooks is in the Google Play Store. Okay, it's an Android app. So I'm going to see if it'll let me. I'm sharing from my desktop, so I really can't show you on here. Let me see if I added. There was a good link. I think I added it at the bottom. If you go to your last screen later, or the 10th slide, I put a little video that kind of is a good reference. It goes through pretty much all I'm talking about. So if you need to reference it, you can go back to this on slide 10. You don't need to watch it right now, but it will tell you how to find on the App Store. So basically, if you're on let me see if it'll let me present. I'm going to present from my Chromebook for a minute and see if I have. Let me stop presenting here. So I'm going to stop and see if I can present from my Chromebook with no problems. I always, let's see. All right, so I'm going to present from my Chromebook for a minute. And it is pouring down rain outside. All right, tell me when you can see my screen. Are we good? Okay, so let me get back to, this was my slide. So for a second, let me pull up make sure I can see everyone. Okay. Yes, thank you if people are answering questions over in the chat window. It's hard to kind of keep check of both. All right. And I love the way, the waffle, that's what I usually use the waffle. That's just how I've always done, is use the waffle to find my new apps, but you can go anywhere. So if you're on a Chromebook, so I'm sharing from my Chromebook, you're going to go to the App Store or Google Play. So if you click, I think you can find it here. All right, let's see, Play Store. Okay, so you would click on Play Store. It's going to take you to the Play Store and you're going to type in Jamboard. So the difference is Jamboard is on your web, which is in our apps, but you can also get Jamboard on your Chromebook or a tablet or something, or on your phone, and it's in your Google Play. So mine's already added, but you would search Jamboard and it would come up, and then you would just say, you would click it, mine's already installed, you would install it, okay? And that's gonna show up. So when I open it, there's more features to this one, so that's why I wanted to show both of them to you. But like I said, as far as being a guinea pig, I'm not sure if you were to share the one that you've created on Google Play with students that might be on a desktop at home. So I'm just thinking, virtual. Sometimes students are on a desktop, sometimes students are on a phone. If they're on a phone, they may have to have the app. Those are questions I don't know yet. So I'm hoping as we do this together, we'll get to figure some things out together. So open, and typically it's going to show, okay, mine's opening, but I'm going to show you, usually it's going to be down here. Let me get out of this. It's going to come down here, usually down here. If not, then you can put it down there. Okay. So like when I'm here, let me double check. When I go to here, sorry. Come on. And I have it, I can slide it down here. Okay. So if it's not showing up at the bottom, like a shortcut, you can slide it down there to be a shortcut. If that's where you want it. Mine just automatically went there. So yours may have too if you already got it. So that's on a Chromebook, a tablet, a phone, you can get it from Google Play. All right, so those are both handy, okay? And like I said, I'm not sure how that's gonna work when we share them with students, so we're gonna play around with that in a minute. But they're both handy in their own way. So like, for example, when I'm doing like when I added my Bitmoji and I added an image, not an image, but my Bitmoji, I couldn't do it very easily on the Google Play app, but it was very easy for me to add to my web app through my Waffle. Okay, so you're going to see some differences, and then you'll know. I use both of them to create my slide. Like I said, I keep saying slide deck, but my Jamboard. But like I said, you'll end up using both to create it, and you'll have to play around with if you're virtual. Now, if you're in the classroom this year, and that's all up in the air still, what's going to happen between now and August 24th, of course. But some of us are already virtual, and if you're not, and you end up going NTI, then you may have to play around with that to know what's best, which one's best to use. Okay. All right. Back to my slide deck for a minute. Okay. So we're on this slide. So I just showed you how to, I'm going to go ahead and keep sharing from here and see if it works fine. All right. So that's how you go to get your Google app. And like I said, Mike added that for us to be able to get on our Chromebooks, which is handy. My question would also be, do students have to have the app? Those are all questions I don't know. So we're going to figure that out together. All right. Next slide. This is really what a Jamboard is. And I am not aware of our district having any of these. They're very, very, very expensive. So I'm pretty sure that's why Mike was able to add it on the Google Play so we can use it on some of us that got the touchscreen Chromebooks. It's a good way for us to be able to use it on there. Like I said, you can also use it on like a child with a tablet. If they're on a Chromebook, the drag and drop is very easy. Might be more difficult for them to write because this is more like a whiteboard app. So like I said, it's kind of those things we have to play around with to know what's best. But this is what a real Jamboard, you can connect your Jamboard that you're doing on your screen to a larger screen, but not that to my knowledge, do we even have one in the district. Okay, so here's the two differences between the toolbars. This is the web toolbar and this is the Android app toolbar. As you can see, it has more options at the bottom. Okay, it has a lot of the same options, but it's got a lot of different ones too. That's why I said you're gonna want both. And I'll show you in a minute kind of the difference. So if I go out of here for a second. So this is the one that I did on my web app. So this is the one I found on my Waffle and I made my Jamboard. I can go to my Google Play app, which is here. I can open up the same one. So they're all going to show up. So no matter what I've done in my web Jamboard is going to show up in my Google Play Jamboard. Okay. So I find the one I've done. I double click it. And I'm going to show you the difference. So basically here, I have the option to add stickers. That's how I got this little thought bubble. We don't have that option on the web one. You could take a picture of, a student could take a picture of themselves, add it to a frame, is what you call these, and you could put their name or whatever. Image library, you can pull from your drive, but if I'm not mistaken, I think, let me just see what happens. Yeah, I think you would have to have that too. So you'd have to have the app of your drive downloaded. So on your phone, that would probably work really handy because a lot of us probably have our drive on our phone. It doesn't look like we have that option on our Chromebook to get that app because it's easy to do on our phone. So you might be able to do it there. I wasn't able to pull from my drive because I don't have that app on my Chromebook. Notice, so like on this one, I was able to add an image. All you do for image is you click over here. On this one, you hit image and you can find images either from your, now this one, it comes up recent searches on, here's the difference. So if I'm on this one and I go here and I say the insert image is here, so they're both a little different. This one comes and gives me options from my drive, a Google image search, photos from here. Okay. Maybe you just crop something and put it on, it's saved, and I can go to select file from your device. A little tip. I don't know if you're familiar with how to just screenshot like that. When you look through my frames, I was able to find images. These little problems, all I did was go to I went to Teachables, not those, but these. I went to Teachables, which used to be Scholastic Printables, but now they're Teachables. And I found a PDF of math problems, and then I just made little pictures of them. Okay. And all you do for that is when you're wanting to get a picture of something. So let's say I'm on this and I want a picture of whatever. It's Control, Shift, and then across your top row on a Chromebook. Okay, I'm on a Chromebook, not a desktop. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows over, 6 buttons over to the right. It looks like a screen with 2 lines on it. It's your screenshot button, but this will give you an option to just take a picture of a snippet. So if I hit that, it's going to do this, and I'm going to be able to highlight over something and take a picture. So let's say I just want a picture of that. It's going to take a picture of just that section of my screen. So that's how I got all those little problems. So let me see if I have it still. Let's see, printables. So like here's the sheet I used. I just went to printables, any sheet that it doesn't have to be from, can be from anywhere. Sometimes your images will be clear enough, but many times we know images are very blurry. So I just went to one of my sheets that I have. See if it's going to let me open it. Yeah, hang on, I got to sign in. Please stop me if you have any questions. I'm trying to watch chat, so let me know if you have any questions or you need me to slow down. I'm just showing you how to get a picture because that's going to be handy in Jamboard for you to get little snippet pictures because you might use them for drag and drop. So all I did is like, this is my sheet. I opened it. I zoomed in a little bit, however big I want it. And as I said, it's Control, Shift, and the little, looks like a square with 2 lines on your top row of your Chromebook. Hit that. I went to, and I left the number because I'm going to make sure kids know what number they're going to be on. And I just take it like that. I let go, and it takes a picture of it. So when I'm in my Jamboard, I would say Insert Image. I'm sorry, that's a sticky note. Insert Image. I'll go to this one. It should be the very top one that I did. And well, hang on, downloads. And I double click the one I just did, and it's going to throw it in there. Okay, and then you can move it however you want. All right, and I already have that one there. So I'm going to go ahead and delete it. To delete one, you can click it and then hit backspace, or you can use the 3 buttons and say delete. You can also duplicate. So all these I could duplicate them. I could delete them. And like I said, I probably wouldn't want to duplicate because my plans are for kids to have a different problem if that works well. Okay, so like I said, this could turn out to be a little wonky, but we'll see. All right, so that's the difference. There's lots of differences between the two. So like I said, I used both to come up with my Jamboard, and you'll probably find that you'll do the same because I could not get my Bitmoji to copy and paste into the app, but I could get it to work on my Chromebook when I'm on a desktop or when I'm on the web one. Okay, so that's how I was able. So there's more choices in the Google Play one. You would just have to have some rules when we do go to share this in a minute. I may have to talk about some things so we can just see if it's going to work. You'll have to set some ground rules on you don't click the arrow because if they click the arrow, it's unlike slides where you can make a background that's static. You can't right now in Google Jamboard. So if they hit the arrow, they're going to move whatever you put in there, possibly. So you're going to have ground rules. That's what I said. We're going to try to see how this works in a minute. All right. So in Google Jamboard, they're called frames. They're not called slides. So in slides, someone just asked, can you do the same on a desktop? What is your question on that one? Taking pictures? Okay, so taking pictures on a desktop is a little different. Okay, so I know I keep going back and forth. So I'm gonna go back to my desktop and share this time. So just a second. On your desktop, and I'm at school, so it may be different at your own home. But I'm gonna present here. Okay, so if I am on your desktop at school, is what I'm used to. Okay, so you can go to, so let's go back to, I'm gonna see if I can open up something different. I don't have that open here. I'm just gonna go to here and take a picture of something. So I've got them pulled up here. I'm gonna go to this one. want a picture. So on this one, it's your snippet tool. So it's down here in your little flag. You come down all the way down to snip and sketch. Okay. And like I said, I'm at school and this is on your school one. So snip and sketch allows you to take little pictures. You just say new. It's going to do like this on your desktop. You're going to click and drag over whatever you want and let go. Now this one will give you the option. I usually save these. Okay. So you go to your little save button, control S, hit that. And I usually name it and I put it on my desktop so I can find it quickly. So on a desktop, I would probably say, problem 1 or whatever. And then I would save it to my desktop is what I do just because I can find it quicker because there's too many things. You can find it pretty much anywhere, but I usually save it there. And then when I go to put it in my slide deck or in my image and my Jamboard, same thing. I would go to image, select files from your device, desktop, and I would go down and find my problem 1 and insert. Okay, so on a desktop, it's a little different. Your desktop at home, I'm not sure, if you have a desktop, that's something you would have to figure out. But here at school, we have the snip and sketch, right? Is that what it's called? Yes, snip and sketch. It's down here. You hit your little flag, your Microsoft flag, come down, and you go to snip and sketch, and that's how you can do snippets of your window. Okay, does that make sense? All right, awesome. So that's how I got those. And like I said, if I want to delete, I just go to the 3 buttons and say delete, or I can say backspace after I've clicked it. All right, back to here. All right, so that's the difference in your different toolbars, and you will find yourself using both to create your Jamboard, and then you'll have to figure out what's best to share. Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay. So someone said on their desktop, they got rid of the snipping tool. So now you do Windows plus Shift plus S. So on your keyboard. Okay, cool. Learn something new. All right. So if you don't have the snip and sketch tool, then you should be able to do that. And let's see, I see at the bottom is your Windows screen, your Windows keyboard key. So y'all might want to jot that down so if you don't have it, even at your home one, right? Will that work on home, right? Any desktop that you're a Microsoft? That should work. Cool. All right, moving on. All right, so on your frames, they're called frames instead of slides. And all that means is when I'm working in my Jamboard, I can click right here and they all drop down. Okay, all my frames drop down. I can slide through them here and see what I've got. Let's say I don't want 8. I can delete it. I can duplicate it. Any of these. I can add one in between my frames. Maybe I'm like, I can move them. So maybe this one I don't want there. I can just shift it where I want it. So it's kind of like slides in that way. I can shift my Jamboard's frames to a different spot. I can add one in between. Okay, so you can see that I'm on my Chromebook on this too, because there's the icon. So on my Chromebook, it's open also. And I hate to keep going back and forth, but it's just nice to show you all Google Play too, because I don't think there's a way to get to there from your desktop. And like I said, I could be mistaken. This is all kind of new to me too. I'm learning as we go, but this is, and as I said, it's a little different. This is more like a whiteboard. So somebody's probably saying, I'd rather use slides. That's great because slides, you can get an extension and have a whiteboard. And I'll show you that towards the end. But this is one that you could use just as a whiteboard. Let's say you're sitting at home. Well, not at home. If we go to NTI, we're probably going to be at school. But if we go to NTI or if you're virtual, I could just share a Jamboard with the student. It could be a whiteboard and we can just do problems together. So it's just a whiteboard is all it is. So, I mean, not all it is. You could use it as all that as you want. You don't have to have all this fancy stuff in there. It could just be a whiteboard. And that's how I've learned about it through Eric Kurtz, is it can be used just as a whiteboard when you're doing a Google Meet with a student and you want to do problems together. The issue is if you're doing it from home and you don't have a touchscreen Chromebook or you don't have a tablet, then you may have to come up with a different way because it's really hard. We all know on a trackpad to try to draw. And some of your students are probably going to struggle with that. That's why I said this is something we may have to do a lot of drag and drop into a frame that students could maybe handle easier from home than trying to draw. So it's going to be kind of this trial and error if you are doing virtual learning using a Jamboard. I was fortunate enough to do the work and get a touchscreen Chromebook, so I'm excited about that. Some of you out there, others have done the same. So I'm thinking, for me, that's going to be handy, but it depends on our students at home, what they're using, or our students in here with a Chromebook. With a regular Chromebook that's not touchscreen, you may have to play around with that. Some kids have gotten pretty proficient at drawing with their trackpad. So it kind of just depends on the level of knowledge in your class. All right. So your frames, if you're on the Google Play one, you're going to notice that it has, it's got more options down at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to, like I said, there's several options that I like about the Play Store one, but there's a lot of extra things I like about the web one. The web one seems to be easier to move things and resize things than the Play Store one. So like I said, you're going to play around with both and you're going to add them, and whatever you change with the web store one is going to change the one on your Google Play app. So they both work hand in hand, but you're probably going to find that you use both to make all your creations and edits. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing one more time on this one for a second, and I'm going to go back to my Chromebook. Sorry about that. It's just going to be, I don't think, please speak up if there's a way I can get I don't think I can get the app on my desktop, right? Am I right on that? I think I'm right. I think I have to go to a Chromebook or a device like that. So I'm going to present from my Chromebook again. All right. So on the Google Play app, so I'm going to click on it. I'm going to open back up what I was doing. Your frames on this one, oops, sorry about that. Give you a little more options within the frames. I'm going to do the one that was in. Come on. I think it's starting to slow down now because, all right, sorry. Example. Okay. When I pull the frames down on my Google Play app, what time is it? Okay, we have good time. You can also change the backgrounds on these. Not here. Sorry, my Google Play. It keeps opening up my web one. When you're in your Google Play one, come on. This is why I choose my desktop to share my screen. It's just, it works much nicer. So give me a second, see if this is going to work. If not, I'm going to go back to my desktop. And that's what I was saying too, when you're doing Google Meets as virtual pops up, you may find that having two devices is handy. So like, if it goes to NTI and we're working from school. All right, see, this is what's happening now. Come on. Might be because I'm presenting. So if you are sharing a Jamboard and you're wanting to talk to students at the same time you're sharing, this is where it might get tricky when you're on a Chromebook and using the Google Play app, is it wants to be slow while you're trying to present, as you can see. That's why I'm trying to use my desktop and my Chromebook at the same time, so I possibly can share mostly from my desktop, my screen. Okay, but here's how it looks on the app. So on this one, you have the option to click on the three dots and change your background. Okay, same thing though, I can slide through them. And then like this, that's how I got the black background for these, okay? As I just went to the three dots and I changed the background. So the background, you have a choice of like a grid. You have a choice of like the dots, which is like good for, lots of different things. Math-wise, you have the graph paper, you have lined paper, you have black, you have a dark blue, and then you have another graph paper with gray. Okay, those are your choices of backgrounds. I really wish that they will possibly let us add, like you could do an image and make it bigger, but then kids can move it around. So I'd love for Google Jamboard to be able to have a static background like our slides are able to do, but that hasn't come about yet. So from your frames, you can do a lot. I can add more frames. I can, take away more frames. And I know a lot of us are in here together and I've shared it with you. That's great. and I will fix it later, but you can practice with mine as much as you want. If you want to use this like for your own kids, please don't forget to make a copy. I kind of did it because we're going to practice in a minute together. So I don't mind a bit you practicing with it right now, but don't forget that when you want to make it your own, to make a copy. So it's kind of like all other apps. I can go to my Jamboard. You guys would go to here. Well, hang on. And I should be able to also say copy, but you guys would just go here. Come on. And I thought you could make a copy. Hang on. Now it's acting. Let's see. Yeah, I may have to go back to my desktop. Let me finish talking about what's different about. Let me just open this one back up. I think it's the 3 dots. Let me see. That'd be interesting to know because like I said, I'm fairly new at Jamboard too, so I'm sharing with you what I know. As you all maybe learn something new, or if you know something different, please let me know. But I think, let's see if this is it. Yeah, make a copy. So your little snowman up here by share button, if you don't care to make a copy for your own use later, I don't mind a bit. But for today, I did want you to be part of it because we're going to practice in a second and see if it's going to help be easy for us to collaborate. All right, so I'm going to go back to my slides for a minute. So that's how the frames work. They're called frames in Jamboard, slides in Google Slides, of course. So I'm going to present again. So those are the frames. Okay, so we're going to try, all right? So I don't know what device you're on. I've put both links in here just to see. We're going to play around with it. The larger Jamboard image, I want everyone to click on first if you don't care. And this is the web version, okay? So whoever wants to join, not everyone has to join. I'm going to stop sharing from my screen for a minute on my Chromebook, and then I'm going to go back to presenting on my desktop. So I think that's going to make it easier, which I guess we could practice with both. So if you want to join my Jamboard, please do. You just click it and it should put you in there because I've shared with everyone. So as you see, if you're not familiar with sharing, all the people that are jumping on or showing up here at the top, I can see everyone that's in there. And you know, somebody mentioned that Jamboard, they're worried about Jamboard because you can't see who's doing what. There's not a version history. Let me say that. Okay. But as you're in here, you can see that everyone has a different color close. So you might be able to tell if someone's doing something and their little head should pop above whatever they're moving. So you should be able to have that option to see at the moment. You can't go back to version history like you can on a Google Doc, but you can if you're watching them as you go, okay? We have 15 in here. Hopefully it works. So we're just going to try this. Like I said, you're my guinea pigs. If I was doing this, I'm sorry, let me go back to my first slide. All right, so let's say I'm going through this with a student. I'm kind of talking them through. I'm giving them a tutor on how to regroup. I might use this slide as my talk about. Notice that if you were to click it right now with the arrow, it's going to move. So that's what's bad about you can't do a stagnant or a static background. So you might want to make sure the kids know to always have the pen clicked at this time and not touch the arrow because then they're going to mess up with whatever you're doing. All right, so I would go through. I've given them a riddle that we might go through and talk about to help them maybe remember what to do when this one's always more on the top. No need to stop looking at the ones place. More on the floor, go next door and get some more. So we would just talk about the riddle to maybe help them remember. The way I got this word riddle was using a sticky note. So that's a great one. You could use Jamboard just to have them do sticky notes and answer a question. I mean, it could be as simple as that. So sticky notes, they have different colors. You might assign a color to students, tell them put their name first and then put their answer, whatever. That's how I got riddle, is with a sticky note. All right, and then I might go to here. Now, this is one that we're going to do a drag and drop, okay? So now I would tell students, you may click on the arrow. You're probably going to have some ground rules. Of course, if you don't know, I'm an elementary teacher, so I'm very specific with my directions, high school and middle school. All right, so on this one, we're just going to drag some of these till we think, yes, we're going to need to regroup, or no, we're not. So what you would probably do, since we have 18, let me see, we have like, I don't know, 19 people in here. If you just had a small group, maybe you could have them tell someone to take different ones. But we'll just let some of y'all drag and drop yes or no. Or I can ask you, we'll do this one together. How many think we need to regroup with this one? You would ask your students, then we're going to drag it to yes. Okay. And then you might then do them all together as a teacher so that students aren't touching them yet. Talk about them. Why would we regroup on this one? Because there's more on the floor. So we have to go next door and get some more. And then so on. So you go through all these and talk about them together. All right. How about 54 minus 31? And the students can put in the chat. Is my oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot.
Hey, Kim, sorry. We can't see
Well,
what
I forgot to share my screen. I'm so sorry. Thank you. All right, here we go. Sorry about that. That's what happens when I switch back and forth from device. Okay. So now, are you seeing it? Are we good? Okay. All right. So what I was saying is this frame you might want to do as a teacher and just talk about each problem and decide, yes, I'm going to need to regroup on this one. No, I'm not going to need to regroup. And then you might ask them why, because there's more on top. I don't need to stop. I'm just going to subtract and move on. So you could do that. This is drag and drop. So the students, that's how I got these little problems, is by my snipping tool or on my Chromebook. I did it quicker on there. I think it's quicker. That's how I did it. But now that I know that shortcut, that might make it a little bit quicker on the desktop also. And if you don't know the shortcut, someone put it in our chat window on a desktop, and I've talked about it on the Chromebook. If you have questions later, my email's on there, and feel free to email me. Okay, so this is kind of a frame I came up with. These, I made the yes and the no out of a Post-it note. I just put them there. If a student clicked on it and moved it, yes, it would move. So that's one thing. You have to have ground rules. Maybe you don't. It depends. When you're collaborating with the students, they need to know what they can do and what they can't do before you do a Jamboard. Okay. So this is I'm using the web version. So in a minute, we're gonna try the Google Play app and see what happens with you all on different devices, but not yet. Right now we're doing this one. All right, so then we're going to move on. My next frame is on this one. All you're going to do is on my other screen, I could touch and make it larger. I think, let's see. This is where I said it's going to be easier on, but I think I can do it. Yeah, hang on a second. I'm going to go back. I'm going to mess with it on my Chromebook for a minute and show you how I can zoom in. So if you're on a touch screen, that's what I said. I was fortunate to do the work and get a touch screen. Shout out to Brandy and Leif for letting that happen. But on a touch screen, I could, well, hang on. It may not let me. It's trying to, you can zoom in. There we go. I can zoom in. As you see, it's going to zoom in. It should be zooming in on my screen. Is it not? Okay, let me get rid of that. See if it worked. All right, so this is where it may not work when you're doing it on, hang on, wrong way. As I said, come on. Yeah, it's not going to work on here. So I was trying to zoom in. So on this one, you may have to zoom in like this, but I don't think you're going to be able to write. This is where I said it's probably going to be better to use the app because you're able to zoom in and still, I think you still can. It's going to be weird on a desktop, of course, because I'm going to have to like write with my mouth. But you can work with these together, have the students work on it. You can see that I'm using the desktop, but if I was using my touch screen, it'd be much easier to write with. I also, can you all, real quick, I wanted to show you over when I was doing NTI, I didn't have a touch screen at first. And I bought this little device and it worked pretty well. So it's just this, and it comes with a stylus. I got it on Amazon. I'll try to send the link later, but you just plug it in and it actually did well for things like this. It's not meant for like artist or drawing type things on a Chromebook, but for just writing on a white screen, it worked just fine. So I'll try to send a link. It's just a little, you just plug it into the side of your Chromebook. It becomes like, makes me think of the times you have to sign like at the doctor's office or at the hospital. So it's kind of like that. It worked well for when I didn't have a touch screen. So, but like I said, with students at home, they're going to have all kinds of devices. So you may want to do a lot of drag and drop activities if you think they're not going to be able to write. But I would use this screen as, and if you want to play around with trying to write something on there, feel free just to see how it works. I don't know. It depends on what you're on. You would make sure to instruct your students that you need to click a pen, pick the color or whatever, and then solve the problem. If you're doing a small group, you might say, okay, the first problem I want, Susie to solve. in red or whatever. So you have different options over here in your pens. You have a pen. This one's a marker. The highlighter, it doesn't really highlight. I mean, it kind of does. It's really good for like a thicker marker too. Of course, we have undo just like we do in all the other Google apps. But you have the pen, a marker, a highlighter, and then a paintbrush. So that one to me highlights better than the highlighter does. Are y'all seeing this? Because I'm getting myself confused on which one I'm sharing with. I think I'm on the desktop. Okay, so undo. I can undo everything just like I do when I'm on. If I was on another device or another app. You have the eraser that will also get rid of it. But if you're not careful, if a kid picked an eraser, they could erase what you've done on some of this. So you may not, like I said, ground rules are important. There's your sticky note and there's your images that you could add. If you do it from your search, it's going to be images that are free and they're not going to be copyright. And you also have a laser. So of course the laser, if you're trying to talk about something, it goes away. So you could say, look at this problem, get their eyes there, and then, the laser just goes away. So those are your options on, this is the one that's on our web. Okay, this is the one that you use from your waffle. So those are your options on this one. You can clear the whole frame. If I click clear the whole frame, it's going to click clear the whole frame. Okay, if I don't want that, I just undo. And background on, this is the web one. This is where you can change your background on the web one. Zoom in, zoom out. Okay. This is where you open on the Jamboard that I don't think we have in the district. So don't even worry about that option because we don't have that option. Here's where you can download as a PDF. I could rename my document. I could save frame as an image. So maybe you're got an image that a frame that you want to save that frame as an image. That's how you would do it here. If I download as a PDF, it's going to be the whole presentation or whatever, my whole lesson. So if I download it as a PDF, all my frames, all 11 of them that's in there right now would download as a PDF. If I just want one frame, then I would use this. I can throw away here, remove, make a copy, and then just other things that's probably with Google related. All right, moving on. So let's say after I went through this lesson with students, then I want them to practice a problem. So then I would tell them, okay, this is where I have numbers. So like I said, depending on how many students you have in a group, you would want to say, Tommy, take number 8, Susie, take number 3. And this is where they would have to know how to write. So like I said, as you're doing trial and error, you might find that this is not going to work with virtual with students at home because some may not be able to write correctly on there. And this is the web version. Does somebody want to try one for me? I just want to see what happens. Can someone pick one and try to write on it? And just, like I said, we're kind of doing this as trial and error together. Mickey, do you care to pick one? Make sure you're using a pen and not the laser. So I would tell my students, make sure you're using a pen. Pick one. And Mickey, do you care to try like one of the problems and see if it works? What are you on? Okay. Mickey, are you there? Or did she step out? Okay.
I'm here, but I was not able to find where you join in, so I've just been watching. Where is
okay. Who's part? Let's see. Brandy, is Brandy in here with us, or is she hopping around to other people? Just someone, if you don't care, to see if it works. I'm just trying to, like I said, this is kind of a trial and error as we do this together. And you're going to have to find, okay, thank you. You can see that I can see the icon of that person trying to solve. So it's going to be hard on certain devices. So as I said, it's going to be one of those things that you trial and error. If you're on a desktop and trying to draw with your mouse, it's probably not very fun. If you're on a Chromebook and trying to draw with your trackpad, so same thing. It all depends on as far as draw. Oh, awesome. And I think most of y'all look like you're probably on a trackpad on your Chromebook or on a desktop probably. All right. So thank you guys. I just want to see how it's going to work. So that's, like I said, it's going to be kind of a trial and error on, oh, somebody's writing their name in cursive. So you could have your students put their name on it, but with these numbers is how I would assign it. So I would tell them so-and-so take number 8, number 7, whatever. And once again, it's going to be trial and error as far as who can do what the best. Okay, I'm going to move on. But thank you guys that tried. You can tell that it's not the best, but you probably could have kids do it enough and know. All right. So, and you could talk about these problems. If somebody together, you may not, it's hard for the kids to tell who's got what. Most of the time they would, but if the kids knew their number, it could be anonymous. And if you didn't, and then they could do it and you could talk about problems and see if they got it right or wrong. All right. So some of us have, I think this is the last. And so basically what I would do here, or what my thoughts are, I would take my other example too, and I would put this in classroom and share it with students and make sure it's a copy per student and let them try to do it on their own. Now, I would probably give them the option at home if they wanted to solve the problems on paper and then take a picture of it and send it to me. I would allow that because, as you see, it's not the easiest to write on here if they don't have the right device. But I would put this in there as extra practice, and then before I would give some type of formative. So that's why I have the two examples. And this is just a Post-it note that I threw in there, making sure they say choose a pen. Because if they use the arrow, they're going to move my picture around. So all they have to, if that happens, no big deal if my directions don't show up. But you can see what happens if they move it around, and then if you have something on top. It's kind of like in slides, you can bring something forward. You can't do that in Jamboard. So I'm hoping they'll add new things to Jamboard as we go. But this would be something I could add into Classroom as a check. Okay. All right. Let's see. How much time do we have? Oh, we're running out of time real quick. Let me see. I want to make sure that we try the app. I just want to see what happens when I share that one. So let me go back to my thing for a minute, my presentation. Real quick, we're going to go to this one in a second, but let me move on for just a second. You're going to see on here, these are some other whiteboard tips or whiteboard things you can use. I learned this one over our 2-day with Kentucky Go Digital. It's also a whiteboard. It's a web. Okay, you just go to, it's a website. And I have linked that for you there. So when you just click it, and that's the link. So it's not an app. It's not an extension. You click it, and it's going to take you to here. Start drawing. It's free. Of course, they're going to have a premium paid version like everything else, but it's free. I could use this as a whiteboard with students. It's got different backgrounds. It's got shapes. It's got text. It's got paint, and so on. Okay, so that's another option for just a whiteboard if that's all you're looking for. Another option I put on here is Web Paint extension. So this one is an extension. I've given you the link to go to the web store and add it. So what happens on this one, if I am in a device, let's say I'm in a slideshow, because some of us want to be able to write on a slideshow, you can click on Web Paint and it gives you these options to do. So let's say I want to write something in my slide deck in a color. I can just click out of this, say okay, and I can start writing, okay? So I can use, this is an extension, so that's the difference. You have undo, to get out, you just leave. I can do shapes. Okay, and then I can fill the shape with the color if I want. Okay, so there's lots of things you can do. That's called Web Paint. So that's another one you could add if you don't want to fool with Jamboard, but you want to be able to write on your slide decks or anything, then you can do it that way. Okay, so that is the two I shared there, so you can have other options that you might want. And the next slide, I have just put a little snippet from YouTube. It's not me, it's someone else, but it's very handy. He goes through all these things, tools that kind of refresh your brain and reference whenever you might forget what to do. And the last slide has the slides, which most of you already have. And if you don't care to complete this feedback for me, and I forgot it again to give y'all the link to sign in. Thank you, Brandy. So if you have not signed in for this hour, she just added the link to chat. So make sure you've done that to get your credit. But I've also put a freebie in here because when you open up my feedback form, I know the Bitmoji craze is going crazy right now. So when you open it at the top, it's one of those Bitmoji classrooms. Of course, I've got the desk socially distanced, as you can see. Anyways, I've put a freebie on there. If you are welcome to use my links to that. So if you click on the freebie, it's going to open up that. And I think I put it in view mode. Hang on, let me double check. Okay, so yeah, can view. So you'll just make a copy and you're free to use those with your Bitmojis if you would like. So that's a freebie. The ones of you that are in Bitmoji. And if you want to go to one about Bitmoji, I think it's from 2:30 to 3:30, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, with Amanda Urbans. And if you're not part of the Bitmoji craze for educators on Facebook and you like Bitmoji, that's an awesome group to join. They share lots and lots of stuff. So I shared that freebie with you, the ones of you that are interested in using Bitmoji in your classroom. All right, so I'm going to go back to here real quick. The ones of you that can humor me, we're going to try to click on the other link and just see what happens. If you're even on a desktop, just try it with me. I'm going to switch and present from my Chromebook again. We're just going to try it. This will help us to know if it's going to work or not. And then you will know kind of what's going to happen. So I'm going to present from my Chromebook again. All right. So if you click on that, like, I just want to see what's going to happen. Is anybody able to get in? All right, Kelly, are you on a desktop or a Chromebook, Kelly? The ones that are joining, are you on a desktop, Chromebook? Just interested in knowing. Can somebody unmute and tell me? Is it working from a desktop?
I'm on a desktop.
Oh, and it worked?
Yes.
I wonder if it's going to let you do anything. That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're going to have to kind of play around. Y'all are going to have to humor me and see if it works. So I don't know if it's going to be easier, but as I said, you have more options in this one. So you have like a way to add stickers, a picture. I just want to try something, just so someone that doesn't care to. Do you mind somebody take a picture of yourself? And let's go to this slide. Like if you want to tell kids, hey, take a picture of yourself if you have a camera and insert it in this slide. So frame 8. Does someone care to do that if you have a camera? And just take a picture of yourself and see if it works. I mean, this is kind of like play around. This is the app. So I just kind of want to see if we have that capability. I think we have it on the desktop too, but our desktops don't have a camera. So that's the problem. So
My desktop does not have a camera, so.
right. So does anybody have on your Chromebook? See if you can take a picture and add it. It might take a minute. We're on frame 8, if that matters. I know we've got extra frames because some people, it's okay. As long as y'all make a copy for your use. And so we'll see if it's going to work. So like I said, it's kind of a trial and error. If you have the web one and the Google Play one, you're just going to have to play around with at school. If you're here in person and you have students, I would probably just use the web one, share it that way, and try to do a lot of drag and drop. Or just use it as a presentation and not let students join. So it doesn't have to be collaborative. It's just kind of nice to be able to do some type of lesson. Someone just speak up if it worked for you. If it doesn't, we'll know that it doesn't work. But anyways, it's kind of like one of those things that's trial and error with Jamboard. I was excited when I discovered it, but like I said, playing around with it with students might be different. I might discover that slides are easier, but we shall see. It's something that's kind of new for everyone. So we put let's see real quick. I want to make sure there's nothing else I want to talk about. One thing I wanted to share real quick, I gave you all a freebie, but I also want to share something. You're probably going to say, I already knew this, Kim, so don't worry about it. I don't need to know. But if you're on a slide deck, who knows that you can copy, you can always go to here and change edit to copy to force someone to make a copy, right? Some of you might know that. So if I wanted someone to force to make a copy, I could change that to copy, make it, slide this over, Control C, open a new tab, Control V, and it would force them to make a copy of your presentation or your Google Doc or whatever. But, and I'm probably late to the game on this one, a lot of us are creating things with lots of hyperlinks. Like I've seen a lot of people creating a classroom, a Bitmoji classroom through slides. And maybe you have just a lot of links. So you can change copy to preview. I've considered that one to be better. Share that link with your students, copy, paste, and it automatically opens up the slideshow in preview mode. So the student would not be able to edit anything. They would just go through and click on your links. So that was new to me. I learned that yesterday. It may not be new to you, but it was for me, and I'm excited. So as I said, Amanda Urbans, yes, she just put that in there. Come visit her on, what is it, 2:30? Is that right? I think it's 2:30 for her. If you want to learn more about Bitmoji. And I put the Pear Deck one because I had used Pear Deck in my last presentation. That's at 1:30 to 2:30 with Kelsey. Room 7 for Pear Deck and Bitmoji in room 6. But if you don't care, I would love for you to be able to do my own feedback form. And then I'm sure Brandy will send one out later for this whole day. But my feedback form is on slide 11. It's right here, this bit.ly. If you could do that for me, I would appreciate it. And there's a copy of my slides. And does anybody have any questions? As I said, it's going to be trial and error for most of us on Jamboard. But any questions from anybody? Are we feeling decent? Like I said, your head's going to be swimming at the end of this day. So just pick a couple things that you want to get better at and then go with that. Don't try to go with everything you learned today because you will overwhelm yourself. So find a couple tools that you find are most beneficial for what you want to do and use those. All right. And I appreciate everyone coming. If you have any questions, you have my email. If you find out new stuff, let me know because it's kind of a learning process for me too with Jamboard. All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great day. Please do my feedback form if you don't mind. Thank you. Have a great rest of the summer, even though our minds are probably all on what's going to happen. So it's kind of hard to enjoy. All right, I will talk to y'all later. I'm going to stop presenting because someone else will be coming in this room. And if you didn't sign in, make sure you signed in. That was the link. Does anybody need to share that link again? It's right here, but I'll go ahead and send it again. This was for the 9:30 hour. So if you didn't get it, that is the sign in for 9:30, and then you'll get a new one for 10:30. Okay. Say something. We're unmuted. We'll unmute. We are. Oh.
Hi, everyone. If you all can go ahead and on your phone or another device, go ahead and download the Flipgrid app. So you'll have that for later. You'll need it. Don't do it on the device you're using because we can't all record our Flipgrid videos at the same time on a Meet. So go ahead and download that app and we'll give you all a couple minutes, run to the restroom, and then we'll get started, let's say at 10:35.
find the mute first. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're good.
Okay, hi everyone. It's 10:35, so we'll get started. I'm Jennifer Solenbarger. I'm her mom. So we are presenting together Flipgrid because we have a big love for Flipgrid, especially with NTI. This is Hallie. I'll just go ahead and introduce her, and I have to brag because she's 19 and she just graduated from Western and she got a teaching job back in April at Lincoln Trail. So I'm really proud of her, and I'm proud to be able to do this with her today.
So really, we're going to talk a lot about student engagement with Flipgrid, but we're going to show you all things Flipgrid.
Okay, so you should have already downloaded the Flipgrid app either on your phone or another device. And don't forget to fill out that form so you'll get credit for being in our session. Okay, so first, why Flipgrid? Well, Flipgrid's an effective tool for NTI or in person. So we don't know what this year is going to look like, but Flipgrid's going to help you with both. It allows you to connect with students, and this year more than ever, those relationships are going to be so important. Students love technology, so if they love it, that naturally improves the engagement. Flipgrid encourages individuality and collaboration, and students get to be creative. And last but not least, as a teacher, feedback we know is a big piece, and Flipgrid is the easiest way to give feedback to your students.
Yes, and I want us to share the link to the slides, so we can do that real quick.
You want me to do that? Because
Yeah,
I think
you
you're
do
the
that.
next.
Okay, Mom's going to share the slide or the link to the slides while I keep talking. So we've got some Flipgrid examples.
Actually, I'm next. So you do that.
Actually, I'll go ahead and just do my fun Flipgrids real quick. So Mom's going to share a content-related Flipgrid, and I'm going to show how I built relationships with students using Flipgrid. My experience with Flipgrid or with NTI this past year was that I had just moved to second grade for my student teaching placement. I was there for not even 2 weeks, and we went to NTI. So I did a lot of grids, as you can see here. Show us your pets, a room tour, creations. They just shared any creation they have. I did a lot of things to build relationships with the kiddos. So this would be a good way if something happens that we are starting out NTI, or if you're the online academy teacher, to get to know your students, form those relationships. They love these Flipgrids, and Mom mentioned the creativity. I had some students that never talked in class, and then it was like they were a famous YouTuber or something on these Flipgrids. So I'm going to click on Show Us Your Pets. I only have one topic. And then you can see I have, I think there's like 20 different pets shown on here. And I can click on any of them and play them. This one, just show that one. And then you can even grade or give them a performance, leave comments. And let's see, you can send it to their email. And we'll show you some other cool things we can do. But you can create a link for that specific video. Lots of cool things we can do. And like I said, that's how I used Flipgrid for forming relationships. And then Mom has a content-related Flipgrid she's going to show us.
Okay, so I did the training this summer for Flipgrid level 1, 2, and I had never knew about mixtapes. So I would have, 120 Flipgrid videos, and I would want to show the students 5 or 6 really good examples. Well, you can do that with mixtapes. And I never knew that. So I'd sit there with 100 kids up on the board, and I would have to go through and pick them. But now, ahead of time, I can make a mixtape. So I made a really quick one for you all. And we'll see if it'll work. I don't know how well it'll work presenting a video over, but we'll see. And we have 25 devices going, so I'm not sure that it's going to play.
We can leave it up and have it loaded later, maybe.
Well, let me go to this one. Maybe I can at least.
That's on.
No, that's me. Okay, we're having computer issues. So we'll wait on that just a minute and we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I'll try it again. Oh, there's mistakes. India fun.
That's you.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, we'll come back to that one. The kids, what I had done is I had given them the prompt for writing. Do you think that we should have assigned seatings or not have assigned seats in class? So they got to share their opinions on that, and it was funny watching them talk about it, first of all. But it was, well, first of all, going back to this year's class and seeing them last night, I about cried, seeing all their cute little faces that we haven't seen since March. But they had the greatest ideas, and I was so surprised by most of the kids said we need assigned seats because of our focus and to make new friends and build new relationships. So they had great ideas, and I could show them that quick video of the 3 best ones during class so they could get their thoughts going again. Oh, someone says I cannot hear anything.
No. Can anyone else hear us?
Okay, and everyone else says I hear you.
Okay, so it might just be her computer. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to go over how to create your own Flipgrid. I do have 2 how-to videos. Mom's going to share those in the chat. This one's for educators, this one's for kids. They're just quick YouTube videos I made in the spring for my 2nd graders. So if you want a quick 5-minute video overview of how to do create your own Flipgrid, that's a good resource. And then I shared this with the kids, how to make their Flipgrid. So first you're going to create your account. I'll go ahead. I've already got my account. But this is what it looks like when you get on flipgrid.com. I personally prefer the desktop version or on a laptop, but the app does work fine for kiddos creating the videos. So either go to educator sign up or log in. I'm just going to log in. And once you're here, you won't have any grids if you're making your new account. But right here it says add new grid. So we'll create a new grid. And we're actually going to create a grid for you guys to contribute to. So I'm going to go down here. So we'll call this Tech Summit. So this will be your overall grid. And then you can have the kiddos join. You just make sure they create their account with their school email. You can have them use their student ID, or it can just be public. I had the kids do their school email last year.
That should work fine for them though. But make sure you add at STU or kids will not be able to do it. A lot of teachers make that mistake. They forget about that.
Yes, so you can add the different domains. All right, and so now my grid is ready, but I'm going to go to the grid because in the grid I can create different topics. So I'm going to add a new topic. Pull that up for you. Okay, good. Our first topic is, what is a tip you give to other teachers using?
You're reading quiet. So you have 2 choices because we always want to give our students choice.
Hold on, our title is too long.
She will create the topic. But one is, what tip do you have for NTI? So this was kind of our selfish way of getting all your great ideas and tips. What was successful for you? Because we know this year there's a good chance we'll go in and out of NTI. So share what you did, what was successful, what was a game changer for you. Or if you don't want to do that, what are you most looking forward to about going back to in person? So either one of those, you get a choice, and we will share the code with you in just a second.
Yes, and then down here you can change the recording time up to 10 minutes. Usually 1 minute and 30 seconds is pretty good. And then video moderation, if you're worried about a kiddo that might post something that you don't want the other kiddos to see, you can turn this on to where you have to approve it first. Right. All right, so I'm going to create that topic. That's our first topic. And you can copy and paste the link for a specific topic. I'll just share the grid with you all in just a second. So if you want to do what is a tip using NTI, it's just called NTI tips. I'm going to go back to the grid.
And don't worry about making a
Oh, whoops.
video yet. We'll share the flip grid code with you.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back under the grid that was Tech Summit, but we're creating another topic because we want to give our kids choice.
Mm-hmm. This will be good if you're doing an opinion piece or something. Different sides could share on different topics. All right, so in person.
Charlie, Hallie's dog, is drinking her water, and it is so loud.
I didn't
Sorry.
even notice.
So our second one, like we said, what are you looking for about? What are you looking forward to about in-person instruction?
Okay, and again, you can change the recording time, video moderation. I'm going to create the
And
topic.
Hallie is nicer than me. She gives her kids a minute, 30 seconds. I usually give a minute because sometimes if they have longer,
Too
to
long.
me, they ramble on
Yeah, you don't.
and they think they have to fill the full 1 minute and 30
That's
seconds.
for elementary kids, but some middle and high school, you might need it
Yeah,
even 10
they may need
minutes.
longer.
You could do speeches or anything on here. Okay, so you see we've got the grid, Tech Summit, and then we have the 2 topics. So I'm going to go up here to share. I'm going to copy the link, and we will post it in the chat, and we'll give you guys about 5 minutes if you all could post a video on the grid, whichever topic you'd like. If you have any questions, put them in the chat, and we'll be glad to help.
Yeah, and don't forget, do that on, I would mute your mics and go ahead and do that on your phone. It should only take you, a minute or 2. But we'll give you 5 minutes, and that'll give you another chance to grab a snack if you need it. That's what I'd be doing.
Okay, we're gonna keep on moving.
Okay, it looks like a few people responded to both of the flip grids. And of course, we all know in this world of technology, kids are on devices all of the time. So they are more comfortable with these things than we are, even though you may stumble as you're learning the new things. Oh my gosh. I mean, Hallie had second graders. I've had my fourth graders. They love it. They learn it, and they figure out things that I didn't even know Flipgrid did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how else can you use Flipgrid? Well, the mixtapes is what I want to show you next. So I'm going to pull up actually the Flipgrid that you all just did, and I'm going to. It's the Tech Summit. I'm on. There we go. So far we have 4 responses. Thank you all for responding. So as a teacher, I would go through and I would look at these. I would watch the videos. Sometimes I watch them at home sitting on my couch watching Golden Girls, and that's okay. So you just sit down and watch them, and you usually get a big kick out of them. So to make a mixtape, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one. Why does yours look different? I need it to go back to what? Okay, Hallie has an Apple computer, and that's not what I'm used to. I need it to go back where it's in a different view, or do I need to show it for mine?
Why don't you just present from yours?
Oh, there's more people. You all just keep popping up.
So you need to present. I'll stop. Okay, we're going to switch presenting. Mom's going to present from her Chromebook.
It's not helping me, though.
You need to present.
Are you in teacher view?
Yeah, you'll have to log in with mine.
That's not going to work.
All right, bear with us. We're almost there. There we go.
Okay. So there's a way you can display it for your kids on the screen when they need to join a code. So that'll make that easier for you. But then I need to get back to the home page. Why do I do that? It never works the way you need it to whenever you're presenting to someone else.
Mm-hmm. So we're done.
See, it's like not showing anything. What is wrong with it?
Maybe try refreshing it. We know it's there. We just did it.
Was yours under your Hallie Black account?
Yeah. And then right.
Okay, I'm just going to show you on my Flipgrid. I'm just going to show you how we would make a mixtape, because I don't want to take up your time when I know you all need to get busy making your own. Okay, here's where I want to go. My Flipgrid. So here's my grids, but nothing, it is still showing up as you. This is so weird that this is doing this. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay. What on earth?
Okay, we don't know what's going on.
We're going in circles.
It's like it just won't let, there we go. It's still not the way I need it to look.
Well, you can show them right here. You can do random or slideshow if you want the kiddos to see all of them.
Well, you could, but I want to do the mixtape, but I'm not sure why it's not letting me pull anything up. It is being really wonky. So let me talk about the next one. So you can make a mixtape, and it's so easy. You literally you right click and you hit add to mixtape, and then you can create it like I would do Tech Summit mixtape. And you add the 3 videos you want to show your kids. That's as simple as that is. I'm not sure of why Flipgrid's being crazy right now. That's just the way technology goes. We know that, and we're just going to keep going with it. But,
Okay, here, I got it.
okay, Hallie has it.
We're going to present from here again.
So sorry.
Stop presenting. Over there.
It's like it didn't know who we were.
They was just switching back and forth
Yeah.
between us.
Okay, now we can show you. So sorry.
Okay, we'll go back to this mixtape. All right, so we're back on we're on the in-person topic of our grid. Right here, you'll go to actions and you can hit add to mixtape. So I'm going to create a new mixtape. We'll call it Tech Summit. You can have a description, blah, blah, blah. Got it. And then let's say we want 3 in our mixtape. So
it's super easy to do. And that way, the next day at school, you can just quickly pull up your mixtape. And it really is super quick, even though we've had issues.
mm-hmm.
And you can just show the whole class, the 3 kids who did an excellent job. And the great thing about Flipgrid, the kids who write well, they do well in here too, but it's the kids who struggle with writing that I usually find make the best videos. So that gives them a chance to be a leader too, instead of, oh, I'm going to read this exemplar paper. Well, here's a great video because they express their ideas so well on the video.
Mm-hmm. And right up here at the top next to grid is where you'll access your mixtape. So then I could go to the Tech Summit mixtape. And okay, now is it not going to let me play it?
Well, you just play it and it plays all 3 back to back. And we won't play them because we don't want anyone to feel like we've put them on the spot. So the next thing is, if Hallie, go to the Disco Library. This is the best resource I never knew about. You can search anything. So this is the Disco Library. As a Flipgrid person, you have to submit your Flipgrid ideas to Flipgrid people, and they watch them and they have to approve them before they put them on this page. There's some awesome ones. You can search, you know, how to teach my kids how to tweet. You can do that. And then they'll have a video and then they can respond. If you are science, maybe you want to, you know, do one on weathering and erosion, and there's great ideas for you. If you want to, there was tons for NTI. So how to make connections with NTI. What are some fun activities we can do to keep in touch? So you search anything you want, and those are there. And you also notice that they have how many times it's been used, if people have favorited it. And then the audience is so important because you can search for middle school. I saw someone put, you know, has anyone used it with middle school? I know Ivory, my daughter, has used it in high school, and she likes it. So I really think middle schoolers would get into it. The last thing we want to share is how great it is for feedback. So when you play a video for yourself, you're sitting at home watching TV, you play a video, you can respond back with a video. So there's a rubric you could put on there, so you can score with a rubric. You can make it out of 10 points. Or it could be you videoing back. I did that a lot during NTI, so they got to see my face. I would respond back and say, oh my gosh, your dog is so cute. I love it. And a lot of times the kids would respond back to me again. And you can also do, you know, type your feedback. So for me as a teacher, it was so easy to give immediate feedback in the classroom when the kids were making videos. They worked at different paces. So as they popped up on my computer, I could put in my earbuds and do a really quick little video back. So those are just some of the ways we use Flipgrid. We want to give you time to make your own. And Hallie, do you want to go back to the presentation?
Yes.
We will stay on here with you until 11:30. We want you to be able to create your own flip grid though. We recommend you start with one that would be for in-person and then one for NTI. We'll be here for verbal questions. We'll just keep it on. You can talk to us or you can type them in the chat box. Does anyone have any questions for us?
We've got a flip grid recap we'll keep up here in case anyone needs to refer back to that. And don't forget, if you haven't filled out the form already, we'll pull up those codes at the end as well.
As you can see, a lot of people on the chat, they're talking about how 5th graders loved it. I really think it'd be very appropriate for middle school as well. I mean, this is the technology age for kids, and they do Snapchat and TikTok and all these things where they're constantly on screen. So they're very comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. Gives them a voice, even the ones that wouldn't really talk in school very much.
And Sarah also commented that the best flip grid makers were the ones who struggle with writing and communication. So it is just another way to help kids show their leadership without being without paper, pencil, or. All right, so you all are free. Go make your flip grids. We're here for you. And guys, we're still here if you need us. If you have any questions, remember you can just ask.
I'm going to go ahead, if no one needs this recap, I'm going to go ahead and put the form links up here and we'll type them in the chat too.